3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! Live from the palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of CBS Sports Radio here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to a Football Friday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all of our great local CBS Sports Radio affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course, streaming live on YouTube, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, where I'm dressed up as Santa Claus today. So happy Christmas, happy holidays to all. 855-212-4CBS is number to jump on in, 855-212-4CBS. 4227. And you could always interact with me on the good old cesspool of Twitter, at Zach Gelb, and also on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB. Got Moist Mike and also Stuart Kovacs, my elves, rocking and rolling with me all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Channing Crowder's going to stop by at 4:20 p.m. Eastern, and also Ryan Horvat for some NFL and college football picks at 5:20 p.m. Eastern, 2:20 p.m. Pacific. We're going to see how long I will continue to remain dressed up as Santa Claus throughout the show. And this is why I understand why I'm not a big fan of facial hair. Like, I'm almost like the Yankee version of sports talk radio, where whenever my beard starts to get like just a little bit too long, I go to the barber or I go shave it myself. And now, since I'm wearing this fake beard today, it is very uncomfortable. And it's also preventing me from being able to speak a little bit with the way that this fugazi beard is put up on my face. So that could be a little bit of a struggle today, Samter, since we're doing a sports talk radio show. If I have trouble speaking, it's not because I had too much eggnog before the show, or I'm recovering from our CBS Sports Radio holiday party for the Zach Gelb Show last night, where we had a very delicious dinner. It's because this beard that I've dressed up in is almost like preventing me from being able to speak and having my mouth move.
You know, a good craftsman doesn't blame his tools. All right, the beard should not get in the way of your professionalism. What should get in the way of your professionalism is that ugly Mets hat that you're wearing instead of a Santa cap.
So there's two reasons why I'm wearing the Mets hat. Number one, I am a Mets fan. But more importantly, in the Santa suit that I bought, since I have such a big cabeza, the generic hat that they give you did not fit around my big cabeza. So I had to go with this Santa Claus Mets hat that I had that is made for bigger people. Is the nice way that I'll say it. So that's why I'm wearing this Mets hat, and it's very odd that I'm wearing this Mets Santa Claus hat today because of the fact that the Mets made this big push for Yamamoto, and then late last night I was actually jumping on with Bart Winkler, who is now going to be doing the 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern Time show on CBS Sports Radio starting on January 2nd, as we have a brand new lineup. Maggie and Perloff in the morning, Bill Ryder as well, then Jim Rome, yours truly, JR Sport Brief, Bart, and then Amy Lawrence. And I was on this stream with Bart that he does on his YouTube channel, and I saw the Yamamoto news, and to see him go to the Dodgers, and it's funny, I said to Bart, we'll probably talk about this for like 2 minutes tomorrow on the show, and here we are starting the show with it impromptu, and I won't spend a lot of time on it. But Yamamoto going to the Dodgers, I can't say I'm stunned, because the last 2 days it felt like the Mets were getting used. And now everyone's like trashing Steve Cohen. I still want Steve Cohen as the owner of the Mets. The only thing is, yeah, it's a disappointing offseason. I think there's a lot of things to get on him during the early stages of his tenure as the Mets owner, but he offered a 12-year, $325 million contract to Yamamoto. It's clear that he wanted to go to the Dodgers and team up with Ohtani and was just using the Mets to drive up the price. So even though, and I'm realistic with my teams, like I don't just try to pump smoke up my teams, you know what, when they're not performing well, and I'll tell you how I see it, good or bad. There's a lot that you could criticize the Mets on. For Cohen not landing Yamamoto, I don't think that's one of them because the guy did everything that he could. Anyway, let's start the show off with the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers, we all know, are the preeminent team in the NFL. The 49ers have a massive game on Monday, which it could be viewed as a Super Bowl preview in Santa Clara with the 49ers welcoming in the Baltimore Ravens. With all of that being said, the 49ers, to me, right now, not only are they the best team in the league, if you just ask me the simple question, Zach, 49ers or the field, which one would you take? And 99.9% of the time, you ask me anything in life, like during one of the golf tournaments, during a postseason for baseball, during a Stanley Cup playoffs in hockey, an NBA playoffs, whatever it is. If you say, Zach, this team or the field, and it's not just like 3 or 4 people, like you have 6 other teams in the NFC and then 7 other teams in the AFC that will make the postseason, 9.999999 times out of 10, I will take the field, especially when it's in a single elimination tournament or a single elimination playoff. But the 49ers are this damn good where I just can't envision a scenario right now where the 49ers aren't hosting or hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. I really can't. The only thing I could think of is if injuries pop up down the stretch or pop up in the postseason and hit them in the you-know-what, which is possible. Like, they got to an NFC title game last year. I thought the Eagles were the better team. I thought the Eagles were going to win the game going in, but Brock Purdy got injured. He wasn't able to rock out with this Brock out and look pretty awesome. And the next thing you know, the Eagles didn't only just beat the 49ers, they just dragged them up and down the field, and the game was over at halftime. So now, the 49ers went through an injury stretch earlier in the year. And it's always the timing with the injuries. Injuries are inevitable in the NFL. And just when you think you skate free, a major, massive, disappointing injury will pop up. But the Niners went through that stretch where they were without Trent Williams, they were without Deebo Samuel, and they lost 1 game, 2 games, and then 3 games in a row. But then they came back healthy, and Brock Purdy, with more weapons, started to look like an MVP. Christian McCaffrey, my opinion, should be the MVP of the league. Either him or Tyreek Hill is having this wonderful season. Brandon Ayuk having a good season. Deebo Samuel having a great season. George Kittle having a good season. Trent Williams continuing his Hall of Fame career. And when this team is healthy, and we didn't even mention the guys that they have on the defense, they look unbeatable. Now, I remember as a Patriot fan when my team was undefeated in the regular season and the 49ers only have 3 losses, and my team beat the snot out of every single team in the regular season. There were conversations during that 2007 season. Are the Patriots being disrespectful? Should they take their foot off the gas? You know, when you're up by 20 points, why are you continuing to play until the game ends? Like, pull your starters, all that nonsense. But that's not Bill Belichick football. Bill Belichick football back then was 60 minutes, 60 minutes, 60 minutes. And if you're on the field, we're going to kick your ass and we're going to take names. So that team got into the playoffs and they had a bye. They won their divisional round game. They had a sloppy win, a game that I was at, up against the Chargers. That's when Phillip Rivers was playing with a torn ACL. And then they got to the Super Bowl, and with a little over 2 minutes left in a low-scoring affair, they took the lead. And then Eli Manning, David Tyree happened, and then Plaxico Burress ended up getting the game-winning touchdown. And boom, a team that was a foregone conclusion that they were going to win the Super Bowl ended up losing. So it's possible, and we'll see if the 49ers can continue this dominance the rest of the season. But right now, in a year where there's not a lot of great teams, where really the 49ers are the great team, and then the Ravens are also considered a great team too, after that, a lot of these teams have flaws. And a lot of these teams I don't trust. So when I look just inside the NFC, and I'm trying to think who can take down the San Francisco 49ers, I don't trust the Cowboys. They've been beat by the Cowboys 3 times in a row. You know, the Cowboys, have lost to the 49ers 3 times in a row. The Lions, I know they played great up against the Broncos, but who is their great victory up against? And the team that most people would have said a few weeks ago, now they've lost 3 in a row, are the Philadelphia Eagles. I told you on Monday, I have big-time concerns about the Eagles. And there's a report out today from Jeff McClain, who's a longtime reporter covering the Eagles for the Philadelphia Inquirer. And his report is, this is via Eagles Nation, there is some internal concern about Jalen Hurts within the Eagles organization. The Eagles want their franchise quarterback to be authentic, but also to open himself up to more in the locker room and have a more outward leadership style when it's needed during difficult stretches, several team sources close to the situation said. That's a big-time report. And I think you have to take every report with a grain of salt, but me saying that doesn't mean what's being said about Jalen Hurts isn't true. And I think where there's smoke, there's a fire. And last year, all Jalen Hurts he was praised for his leadership. And then if you remember that quote after the Seahawks game, just on Monday night, where they lost to Seattle, and he talked about how there isn't that much commitment. And we even talked about that. Was that just a player saying something general? And was it just to say something? Was it being disingenuous because that's just what player speak is? Or was there something more to it? But it's crazy because I was in that Eagles locker room last year. By far and away, Jalen Hurts is the most respected person in that locker room. Right? He was their leader. I know they have Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson and Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham. And those guys are great players. But last year it was clear the leader of that team and the baton was handed over to Jalen Hurts. And everyone was operating off the message that Jalen Hurts was leading. And even then, there'd be some times where he would talk after games, and it seemed like he was never satisfied. And I talked to him. I had the first question in the press conference after they punched their ticket to the Super Bowl, and I'm like, just describe what's going through your head right now. You're going to a Super Bowl. And it's like, he didn't have any emotion about it. It was like a robot at the podium. So maybe he needs to show some more human emotion. I don't know if he doesn't display that behind the scenes, but I'm just telling you from the way that I viewed it in the Eagles locker room last year when I saw him up at the podium. And I have nothing but the respect and all the respect in the world for Jalen Hurts. I love the Jalen Hurts story, and I wish him nothing but the best. But it seems like the Eagles right now, whatever's going on this year, and I'm not all putting it on Hurts, that would be jackassery. But whatever is going on with the Philadelphia Eagles, it doesn't feel like they're going to get it right in the next 3 weeks. And maybe it's just going to take a big divisional round weekend victory, and then they're going to San Francisco, and they could find a way to rally up the troops and get a great effort for 60 minutes because there's too much talent on this team for them to be playing this horribly and this putrid the way they have the last 2-3 weeks of this NFL season. So I look at the NFC. There's no team that I really love to take down the 49ers. The team that I'd be fascinated if they get in to see if they could do it would actually be the Rams. The Rams started 3-6. Now they've won 5 out of their last 6, and they have Super Bowl experience. You know, that's not going to be a team. They may not beat the 49ers, but they're not going to be afraid of the 49ers. Sean McVay, Super Bowl champion. You know, the Rams also do a very good job up against Kyle Shanahan. Matthew Stafford, Super Bowl champion. Aaron Donald, Super Bowl champion. Cooper Kupp, Super Bowl champion. And Puka Nacua, emerging star in his first season in the NFL. So really, in a bizarre way, because I don't trust the Eagles right now. I don't trust the Cowboys right now. I don't trust the Lions right now. Since the Rams are hot, they may have the best opportunity because they won't fear the 49ers, and they're getting things going at the right time. They may be the team that has the best opportunity in the NFC to take down San Francisco. But really, I think it's two teams, and they're both in the AFC, and it would both be when the 49ers get to the Super Bowl. It would either be the Baltimore Ravens, because they have a well-balanced team and Lamar's playing at a great level, or the Buffalo Bills. Because the Buffalo Bills, they still got to get in the dance, but once they get in the dance, they'll be extremely dangerous. And just like the Rams, they're playing their best football towards the end of the season. Right? Everyone checked out on the Rams. Everyone checked out on the Bills. And here we are in Week 16. And the Rams just had a victory last night up against the Saints. And the Bills have a game this upcoming weekend. But both of those teams right now, Bills play the Chargers, and they'll beat the Chargers. And then they'll beat the Patriots, and they'll probably play for the division up against the Dolphins. But both of those teams are getting hot at the right time of the year. And we do get to see 49ers and Ravens this weekend. We see it on Monday. And if the Ravens beat the 49ers, then just knowing how this goes about, people will start to question the 49ers. Like, did we overrate the 49ers? Did we say the 49ers are too good? But I don't care what happens this weekend or on Monday. Until someone beats the 49ers in the postseason, I already have it engraved in my mind the last 2 weeks that the 49ers are not only going to be in the Super Bowl, but they're going to get that ring for John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan finally. Let's go into the Ravens locker room, though. Lamar Jackson and Kyle Hamilton both had different things, but it was both talking about being respected or disrespected. Let's hear from Lamar Jackson first, the quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens.
So-called experts on picking you guys to win. You guys embrace that.
I'm cool. I want them to pick us. I like being an underdog. You know, I don't know. I believe we play better when we're doubted and we're not. You know, people not choosing us to win the game. I feel like we play better all the time. So just do it all the way to February.
So right now the Niners are home, so you expect them to be the favorite, and they're the better team right now, even though they have the same record as the Ravens at 11-3. But the Niners are a 5.5-point favorite. And I thought maybe that number would be 4, 3.5. But I don't think it's an outrageous number. I don't think it's egregious. So that was Lamar embracing, right, people doubting them. He likes when they're doubted because his entire life he's been doubted. And if I may say so myself, it's worked out pretty damn well for Lamar Jackson. But here is Kyle Hamilton, the young safety for the Ravens out of Notre Dame. He had a different take.
The 11-3s are not created equal right now in terms of the 49ers versus us. And we feel a little disrespected by that. I feel like we are the best team in the league, and we got an opportunity in front of the country to show it.
Well, you should believe that you're the best team in the league. Doesn't mean you are, and maybe you'll show it on Monday. And if this game was in Baltimore, probably the Ravens are still the favorite, I would imagine. It wouldn't be by 5.5 points. Maybe it's by 1.5. Maybe it's by a 2.5 point spread. But when the 49ers are at home, where they've only lost one game at home this year, I know the Ravens are 6-1 on the road. I can't say, oh, it's disrespectful to make the 49ers a 5.5 point favorite in this game. So do you go the 49ers or the field? And if you're taking the field, who do you trust in the most to take down the 49ers, whether it's in the NFC side of the playoffs or when you get to the big game in Las Vegas for the Super Bowl? 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. This is the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. The kids these days, they say the word mid. There is one quarterback in the NFL that I saw last night that is very mid, and I'm sick and tired of people trying to make him to be more than what he actually is. We'll talk about that quarterback when the Zach Gelb Show continues in 5 minutes.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The Zach Gelb Show is on the air across the nation on CBS Sports Radio.
More and more I hear Antonio Pierce speak. My comp for him is Dan Campbell. He is Dan Campbell for what Dan Campbell is to the Lions, what Antonio Pierce is to the Raiders. And that is just, we're going to physically beat you up. We're going to smack you in the mouth. We're going to bite off your kneecaps. And that could galvanize a locker room when you have a former player who's not that far removed from playing, connecting with younger players now in the NFL.
Here's Zach Gelb.
And you can stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. So we had a nice little show dinner last night at this local Italian spot, about 2-3 blocks from the office. I was satisfied with your guys' approach, but I was also a little bit disappointed, if I'm going to be honest, Samter and Stu, because I sensed there was like a little nervousness from both of you guys to actually order things off the menu. And when we were walking to the restaurant, maybe this was my fault, because I said, hey, order what you want, but just don't order Louis the 13 shots, because that's like $500, $2,000, whatever a shot. And, you know, I was paying for the dinner, but I'm not going to pay for the dinner if Samter was like downing 13 Louis the 13 shots. I would be like out of my income and some of my savings that I end up having. But we sit down and we ordered a pizza for the table, and you guys like weren't even hitting up any of the appetizers. And that's when I was like, oh, you know, make sure we get a charcuterie board, make sure we get some rice balls. They had these pepperoni wings. When I saw that, I was like, there's no way that's going to actually be good, but we have to try them. And they served the wings with little pepperoni cups. So I was a little disappointed. We had a great time. It was fun, good laughs. But I was surprised that it felt like you guys were like afraid to order when the waiter did come over. I don't know if you guys felt that way. Maybe I just felt that way. But that was the way that when I was sitting there, and they said, oh, what do you guys want? And Stu said rigatoni alla vodka. And Samter, what did you end up getting? You got some sandwich, right?
Yeah, I got a meatball Parmesan panini.
Yeah, I was thinking, though, Samter, you were going to kind of take the lead and just start firing off a few appetizers. But that wasn't the case. I had to step in, call it audible.
I mean, I could have gotten an appetizer, but we ordered a pizza for the table. I figured a pizza for the table and a meatball sub was enough for me. I mean, listen, I could certainly just rung up the bill just for the fun of it, but I also have a limited stomach. And so, like, the idea of pizza, sub, and appetizers kind of threw me off a little bit. So when you started ordering all those apps, I'm like, who's eating all this crap?
No, it's the big times here, right? We're now afternoon drive. We can't have, like, an overnight type of meal. We got to have a big-time afternoon drive dinner. You know, there's a certain standard around here. When you're a talk show host, you're expected to eat well. You're expected to take care of your crew. I can't let Samter just go home to his wife off a little sandwich and 2 slices of vodka pizza or whatever we were having. I need you to be like a fat pig when you leave that meal.
I took half my sandwich home with me. I couldn't finish all that.
That is true. Samter got like a little doggy bag to take care of all of his food home. No, but we had a really good time, and it was fun. And the first of hopefully many dinners until they can me and they say, all righty, we can't have you doing any more shows. And then I'll be begging you guys to take me out for dinner and have a good old time.
Well, the next dinner's on me.
Oh, yeah, that is true. See, this is, you got to just let this go, Samter. Samter owes me a dinner. Personally, I kind of hope he never pays up on the bet just so I could keep on giving him crap. But Samter's not someone that enjoys when someone is basically, giving a little elbow to the stomach and rubbing in that they haven't got their end of the bet. Like, I'm doing this in a jovial, kind of sarcastic way, but this has now been the fourth or fifth time, and it's only been like 2-3 weeks since Samter owes me dinner for thinking that Ohio State was going to remain in front of Texas after Texas was beating the snot out of Oklahoma State. But Samter, are they paying you to bring up that you still haven't bought me dinner? Because I do find it funny that I got you dinner first, impromptu, just out of the kindness of my heart, and you owe me a dinner and you still haven't got me dinner.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you've brought it up like 9 times, so I just, bring it up every now and again as a reminder that I'm not going to renege on it. But
I hope not.
Listen, I appreciate you getting me dinner. It was a very nice gesture. I owe you a dinner. You're going to get it.
I don't know.
I think we found the place, or at least we discussed the idea of the place yesterday.
Yeah. Good steakhouse in the city.
Yeah.
You don't have
nice
to get me
steakhouse.
steak, though. You don't have to go steak, but if you
want,
want,
listen,
that's fine.
I have a baby and I have a wife. I don't get to go out for good dinners that often anymore. So, this is a way for me to get good dinner, and I don't mind shelling out a little bit for a good man.
Stu, I'm on to Samter. I think Samter's trying to kill me by basically making me eat so much steak, and he's hoping that I'm going to pop. So then they have to just slide Samter into this chair, and then it becomes the Michael Samter Show on CBS Sports Radio.
I could see that.
The Samter and Kovacs show. Listen, I'm doing this for the team.
Yeah, so since I'm dressed up as Santa Claus today, I got a list. And Samter, you may be on the naughty list this year. So don't be expecting too many good presents this time around. You may have to turn around some of your misfortunes and make them better if you want some better things in your stocking come Christmas. Anyway, I'm so sick and tired of Derek Carr. I've had enough. Derek Carr is the definition of what the kids say these days of the word mid. This guy, some people tweeted me last night, he had a good fantasy football performance for me. Did you watch him play last night? I don't give a rat's ass about your fantasy football team. I don't care if he ends up having a good statistical night, 27 of 40, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. He had a hellacious interception. They turned the ball over on downs, it seemed like every other drive. And in the fourth quarter, they were down 30-7. So just because they tossed 2 touchdown passes, all of a sudden, we don't have to say, Derek Carr didn't have that bad of a game. How many hurricanes did Mickey Loomis have on Bourbon Street when he inked Derek Carr to that 4-year, $150 million contract, and $100 million of it was guaranteed? This guy is just not a good quarterback. Hey, he's just not. He is an above-average quarterback that early on in his career had a great season. He was someone for a while that got the excuse of just the pathetic state of the Raiders organization and how much the Raiders organization would screw him, so he became a victim that people had sympathy for. But I'm sick of this look of him on the sideline every time they pan to him where he looks like he's about to cry, and it's the woe is me type of face. I just don't believe in this guy as a quarterback. And everyone tries to tell me, he's really good. He's underappreciated. The Saints right now must be livid, and they must feel like they're the biggest dopes in the world that they still got 3 more years of this guy because he's just not good. And everyone tries to tell me, he's a borderline top 10 quarterback in this league. Anytime he has a top 10 moment, the next week he sucks. The next week he takes 3 or 4 steps back. So I cannot understand for the life of me why in the year of 2023, people still believe Derek Carr can be that dude. And the Saints right now are 7-8, and if they don't win this division, it's embarrassing. They were supposed to easily win this division this year. And now they're in a dogfight with Tampa Bay, and I guess now Atlanta still has a chance, even though their head coach stinks, and their quarterback, is it Taylor Heineke now? Because Desmond Ridder is a disaster. I'm not even asking him to be great. If he was just solid, if he was just good this year consistently, they would have easily won this division with the garbage quarterbacks that are in this division. And you know what? Baker Mayfield is having a better season than Derek Carr. And I trust Baker Mayfield a lot more right now in the year of 2023 than Derek Carr. I think Tampa Bay is going to win the division. But can we stop trying to make Derek Carr something that he's not? And his brother could sit there and tweet out, and I get it, it's his brother, and you're going to defend your brother. He could tweet out his stats all that he wants. The stats are empty. If anyone actually watches the game, you don't think that this guy for any long period of stretch is one of the dominant quarterbacks in the league, is a great quarterback in this league, or is consistently a top 10 quarterback in this league. He's mid. He's anywhere from like 14 to 16 or 17, somewhere in that range. And there could be a game or two where he looks like he's going to be a top 10 quarterback, and then guess what happens? He doesn't just stumble around the bar. He face plants. He face plants, and then you just see that this guy is not that good. So if one more person tells me that Derek Carr is this wonderful quarterback and Derek Carr is underappreciated and he's a lot better than what you guys actually make him out to be, what are you watching? Like, what pictures does Derek Carr have of you where you go and support this guy over and over again? And he seems like a good dude. He seems like he cares. He plays through injuries. I'm not questioning that part. But when you evaluate the quarterback position, Derek Carr just does not intimidate anyone. And he's just a guy in the NFL. He will never be the guy. And this is not 3-4 years where he's overcoming an injury. We've seen him now for way too long. You could have a lot worse quarterbacks in the NFL, but just because you have Derek Carr doesn't mean you actually have a good quarterback. And because he threw 2 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter last night, ooh, gee whiz. Let's give him a big standing applause. Let's give him a big standing ovation. 30-22. I laid the 4.5 points with the Rams last night. I was never concerned for a second. Because Derek Carr digged them into such a deep hole, and even when it looked like he was climbing out, you knew it was too little, too late. It is the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. I always find it funny when I go on a rant like that and I'm dressed up in a costume like I am today, as I'm dressed up as Santa Claus. You think Santa's nice? Derek Carr, you're on my naughty list. Derek Carr and Samter, both on my naughty list this year. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Let's go to the Grinch, El Capitan, Marco Belletti with the latest CBS Sports Radio update.
I'm catching straight? What the hell? I'm just sitting here.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
All right, Zach. Florida State Board of Trustees has voted to sue the ACC, challenging the legality of the grant of rights and their $130 million withdrawal fee. Florida State continues to look for a way out of the ACC. Bengals expected to fade into oblivion with the loss of Joe Burrow, but they've won 3 of 4 behind Jake Browning, and they're right in the thick of the playoff race as they get set for the Steelers Saturday afternoon.
Feel a little more confident with stuff like that after a couple games, and so now you can really focus on the different looks and going through your reads and stuff like that. And I did that before, but just maybe having a little bit more of a focus on it.
Jake Browning will be opposed by Mason Rudolph, who gets a start for Pittsburgh. Still unclear who's going to be under center for the Seahawks against the Titans. Geno Smith admits it was tough to have to watch Drew Lock lead him to the come-from-behind win of the Eagles Monday night.
Expecting to go out there and play, and then, coach making that decision. We got to live with it. And obviously I was hurt by it. I want to go out there and compete. I want to play any chance that I get. But I do understand that he's got to make the decision for the team.
For the Jets, they're going to start Trevor Siemian against Washington as Zach Wilson remains in concussion protocol, and Trevor Lawrence remains in concussion protocol but is practicing for the Jaguars. Still unclear if he's going to play against the Bucs on Sunday. I'm Marco Belletti.
CBS Sports Radio is turning up the heat this December. From the NFL playoff push, bowl games, and coast-to-coast action from the NBA hardcourt to the college game, we've got you covered.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The Zach Gelb Show is on the air across the nation on CBS Sports Radio.
For Tua, now he's healthy and he's playing good football. He's not playing elite football. He's not a quarterback that I think wins a Super Bowl this year. But look how long it's taken Miami to find the guy that they like. Just like, not even love, since Dan Marino left them. So I'm not saying that you have to be head over heels in love with the quarterback. But if you like that quarterback, you know what life is like when you don't have a quarterback that you even like.
Here's Zach Gelb.
Uh-oh. It is the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. I just saw a photo in a store in Detroit. They are selling NFC North Division Champion shirts already for the Detroit Lions. And there's a caricature. It's kind of tough to see. I think it's Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and it looks like it's Aiden Hutchinson on the T-shirt. Now, they're going to win the division, but that is like the start of something bad. It feels like a bad omen when you haven't officially clinched the division yet. And they're 10-4. You're in the final 3 weeks of the season. The Vikings are 7-7, and they play each other this weekend. But that is not. I think you are asking for danger with the sports gods. Well, you'll still probably win the division, and the shirt will be true. But to put out that early, I don't know. Lions right now, they have not won a playoff game since 1991. I hope that streak ends. But when you're already putting out divisional round T-shirts that you've won, the division championship, when it's not officially clinched, I guess I know how that happens, right? It's the holiday season. You want people to buy things. You have those shirts brought in, ready to go, ready to put on display after they beat the Vikings probably this weekend. But you're asking for trouble when you already have those T-shirts out there right now. I do not like that. I may be out on the lines for the rest of the year. Santa, that is. I think you're asking for some danger there.
You know what? Sometimes when you've had so many years of bad luck and you've tried everything and you've tried reverse curses and you've tried voodoo and you've tried this and that, sometimes you just have to look winning in the face and say, we're not afraid of you anymore, right? Like Dan Campbell before the season, they talked a big game, right? And everyone was like, oh, maybe they're talking too much. They haven't done anything yet. You know what? Maybe sometimes just for your own mental psyche, just for your own mental just fortitude, sometimes it's important just to face it and say, we are the best. We are going to win and not be afraid of it. So good for them.
So talking about the Lions, I actually just watched the Barry Sanders documentary, and I went into it assuming that they just lambasted Scott Mitchell, the former quarterback, because Mitchell, we played the audio. He went on and he just torched so many people for ripping him in this doc. The only time that they really ripped him was when the coach said that Joe Montana told him he wanted to go to the Lions before he ended up going to the Chiefs. And that was basically it. And Scott got annoyed that the coach would reveal that, and the GM didn't want Joe Montana. He thought he was too old, and he was trending in the wrong direction of his career. And then he had some good 2 years, I believe, with the Kansas City Chiefs. But I thought Scott Mitchell, with the way that I thought it was going to be nasty and really attacking him, I thought he came off overly sensitive because I watched the whole documentary and I didn't think anything was out of line with the way that they talked about Scott Mitchell. Was barely even mentioned. And the one thing that I took away from that, I wonder now, we usually get Barry Sanders on at the Super Bowl. I hope we get him on this year. I'm assuming that he goes. I want to ask him, does he regret not appreciating the individual honors a little bit more in his career? Because he left the team MVP at the restaurant where I guess they had their end of the year banquet for the Heisman. He was never thrilled about winning the Heisman when it happened. I always wonder with those individual awards, the only thing he really cared about was getting to 2,000 rushing yards, which he did in a single season. I wonder in the moment if he regrets not appreciating a little bit more about the individuality that he brought to the team. And I think the reason why he did that, if I just had to kind of diagnose it and dissect it, was because he knew how great he was, and he didn't want to maybe portray it to his teammates that, it's all about me, 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 me. I think he was basically saying, guys, I'm winning all these individual awards. I don't give a rat's ass. You elevate your game, and let's go try to win together as a team. That's the way that I interpreted what he did. But I do wonder, with the Lions, getting to the NFC Championship game early in his career, losing the game to Washington, and then never getting anywhere close back to there again, I wonder if he doesn't, if he regrets a little bit not appreciating or not embracing some of the individual attention that he got early in his career and midway through his career as well before he stunningly walked away, where he still had some good years of football left. And he went right on a plane to London. How about that? Fax in the resignation and go right to London. It was a pretty cool doc. All righty. Got some questions from Samter. I'll give you some answers. Let's get to onside, offside. Stu, hit it.
Zach's taking on the most polarizing issues in sports. Which side of the line of scrimmage will he end up on?
Offside. Defense number 69.
It's Onsides, Offsides with Zach Gelb on CBS Sports Radio.
And yes, on the delicious pepperoni wings that we had last night, some people were asking, whoop-de, of course we put blue cheese on them. If you ever have wings, you need blue cheese on wings. If you're a ranch person, as much as I probably love you away from that take, you having ranch on wings makes you a horrible person. Like, let's just call it how it is. You put ranch on wings, it is a criminal offense. You should be arrested. Blue cheese, blue cheese, blue cheese, and more blue cheese. Anyway, Samter, what do you got?
I mean, of course, I'm a ranch on wing guy.
Well, last night you were dipping in the blue cheese.
Because that's what was there. I just didn't feel like asking for ranch.
Oh, you could have done that.
I enjoy blue cheese. I just, if I had a choice, I would prefer ranch.
Whoop-de, blue cheese. Love it. Let's go.
Now, the Rams win over the Saints last night. Rookie wideout Puka Nacua caught 9 passes for 164 yards and a score. Nacua is now just 147 yards shy of setting a new single-season rookie record for receiving yards. And Sean McVay says he should be the offensive rookie of the year.
He's outstanding. I couldn't be more grateful for the contributions. And, what a freaking run on the jet sweep. There's a bunch of plays through the pass game. You guys have seen it week in and week out. You talk about that balance. You can't have the balance if you don't have receivers that are willing to dig out support and do some of the things that he does. You see around the league, Stroud's had a great year, but this guy he would get my vote.
So onside, offside, Puka Nacua should win Offensive Rookie of the Year over C.J. Stroud.
And it looks like C.J.'s probably going to miss another game this week, as there's really not been a change in his status coming back from that concussion. Oh, this is such a tough one, because I think everyone already gave the award out to C.J. Stroud. And from a quarterback standpoint, he's doing historical things, but so is Puka as a wide receiver. I hate to be like every other voter, but quarterbacks, for all these awards, they get the head start. So I'll probably say, yes, C.J. Stroud, because there's not really anyone else on the Texans side of the ball that you think about offensively. At least for the Rams, you think about Stafford, you think about Cooper Kupp, who's back healthy. Tank Dell was playing great, but then he got hurt. Nico Collins has been banged up a bit. Devin Motor Singletary's had an okay season. But what Stroud has done, even though both are impressive, I would give the slight edge to Stroud just because of the lack of talent around him compared to the Rams with Puka Nacua. So Nacua should win the Offensive Rookie of the Year over C.J. Stroud. I will go a slight offside on that.
Offside.
We got 2 more Saturday games this weekend with the Bengals and the Steelers and the Bills and the Chargers. Cincy has won 3 straight with Jake Browning under center. Browning, who's a free agent after the season, is averaging over 315 yards passing during that span. Onside, offside, Jake Browning will be a starting quarterback somewhere in the NFL in 2024.
I'm going to go offside. I'm impressed with what I've seen so far, but I need to see more. He was only on a 1-year deal with the Bengals. I think the Bengals will probably want to keep him because Joe Burrow, unfortunately, has now been injured twice. That has cost him the rest of the season, and he's been more than a competent backup. But just because of a small sample size, he may get an opportunity with another quarterback to compete for the job. But I can't say I fully expect him to be a starting quarterback somewhere in 2024. And also remember, I know Jamar Chase is now hurt, but they have a lot of good weapons in Cincinnati. So it's a good landing spot for a backup quarterback to have some success.
Offside. Sunday's big game pits the Cowboys against the Dolphins, teams that seem to be mirror images of each other. The Cowboys are coming off that 21-point drubbing to the Bills, while the Dolphins haven't beaten a team all year that currently has a winning record. Their best win is against the 7-7 Broncos. So onside, offside, the Cowboys will win this game.
This is an offside for me, and the reason why is last week the Buffalo Bills with James Cook just absolutely destroyed that Cowboys defense. I think this is a big game where, yes, we're going to make it all about the quarterbacks, and the quarterbacks are going to have to protect the ball late in the fourth quarter, and ultimately they'll determine the game. But I trust Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane to just have monster games up against this Cowboys defense. Even though this Cowboys defense is good, I just think you saw something happen last week in Buffalo that Miami will try to replicate. So I take the Dolphins in this game. Offside when you say the Cowboys will win this game.
Offside.
Now, for you Patriots fans out there, Just when you thought we were finally done with Deflategate.
Yeah, where's the suspension right now?
It is back.
Boom.
Deflategate 2. Now, after
Losers.
last week's Pats-Chiefs game, Bill Belichick, of all people, took issue with the amount of air in the kicking balls.
Well, the officials handled that, and they were underinflated by 2.5 pounds. I think you could see that by the kicks. Both kickers missed kicks, and Butker had missed a kick all year. Kickoffs, we had 2 almost went out of bounds. I don't know. You have to talk to the league what happened on that because we don't have anything to do with that part of it.
Where's that rat Mike Kensel?
They fixed them at halftime,
loser.
But didn't do it before then.
Get him, Bill. Get him, Bill.
Another question you could ask. But we don't have anything to do with it.
Fire Goodell. Get him, Bill.
I love how he kept saying we have nothing to do with that, as if he was trying to say, hey, the inflation of a ball has nothing to do with us. Interesting. Onside, offside, the amount of air in a football is a big deal.
When you're throwing, no. When you're running, no. When you're kicking, yeah.
How convenient, says the Pat fan.
Hello, yes, of course. We got screwed. That's why we lost to Kansas City. I'm actually happy because now the officials are in on the tank, so good for them. But when it comes to kicking, yes, how much air is in the football is a big deal. Onsides, I want justice. Exonerate Brady, exonerate Belichick, and screw all you people that were leading a witch hunt a few years ago because you were jealous. Ooh, jealous. Losers, jealous.
Cheaters.
Winners. What happened to that Super Bowl? Oh, yeah, they won. They were down by 10 points to the LOB, and Tom Brady said, I don't care about you, Richard Sherman. We're going to win the game. Winners.
Cheaters. Now, the Dodgers keep spending, agreeing to a record 12-year, $325 million deal with Japanese phenom Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Say that 10 times fast.
Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Yeah, don't actually.
That comes down just a couple weeks after ponying up $700 million for Ohtani, and the Dodgers' payroll is now over $280 million, and that includes Ohtani deferring $68 million a year to later years. So onside, offside, baseball would be better off with a salary cap like either the NBA or the NFL.
Offside, but what I would say here is when you defer money, it should not decrease your luxury tax. And it did decrease the luxury tax for Ohtani that enabled them to put them in a position to go get Yamamoto. So I don't think there should be a salary cap. And I'm good with owners wanting to spend like a bunch of drunk sailors, but I don't think you should be able to defer the money and then have your luxury tax hit, whatever it is, go down a little bit. So I will go offside there.
Offside.
All righty, this is Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. Really quick first hour of the show. When we come on back, CBS Sports has an article out there about 5 coaches who could get fired this upcoming offseason. How many of those are realistic? Also, Channing Crowder will join us 25 minutes from now, and Ryan Horvat from BetMGM tonight with some bowl picks and NFL picks at 5:20 p.m. Eastern, 2:20 p.m. Pacific to try to win you some money. Coming on back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Yo, it is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on CBS Sports Radio. Coming up 20 minutes from now, Channing Crowder from 560 WQAM, former Dolphins linebacker, Inside the NFL star, Pivot podcast host, is going to join us right here on the Zach Gelb Show. Ryan Horvat still to come in an hour 20 from now to try to win you some money, some straight cash, homie, with the college football bowl games and also the NFL games this upcoming weekend. It is time to Ask the Pros, where you, the listener, gets to ask us a question brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at CBS Sports Radio or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Be listening later on in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. I am dressed up as Santa Claus today. If you want to see that video, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, where you can watch our show each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, noon to 3 p.m. Pacific. Also put out the photo of me dressed up as Santa Claus on Twitter and Instagram, at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB. All righty, so I'm reading this article the other day, and it's 5 coaches who could get fired this year from NFL on CBS. And let's go through all these coaches right now. In at number 5, Arthur Smith. I would absolutely fire Arthur Smith at the end of the season. You know, Arthur Smith, I may most be disappointed with him this year out of a lot of these coaches that we're going to talk about. I really did think in the offseason that the Falcons were going to win the division. Now, this division is not good. You just heard me go off on Derek Carr earlier in the show and how he was going to ruin the Saints' season. Tampa Bay, I didn't think they'd be playing this good of football without Tom Brady, and give credit to Baker Mayfield. And then, you know, the Panthers are the Panthers. They're the worst team in the NFL, and it's not even close. But congratulations to them. They got their second victory of the season. Against who? The Atlanta Falcons. So I look at the Falcons. They have too much talent on both sides of the ball to be playing this poorly in a year where you just need to be And if you're you would win the NFC South. And the reason why I'm disappointed in Arthur Smith is because he's trying to make, and I know Desmond Ritter's not playing this weekend, and it's back to Taylor Ham-Heineke, but throughout the entirety of the season, he's tried to make Desmond Ridder someone that he's not. You were not going to win games this year because of Desmond Ridder. You were only going to lose games because of Desmond Ridder. And you saw that last week when Desmond Ridder made one of the worst throws I've ever seen a quarterback make that got intercepted. You know, I was talking to J.C. Horn on Eye on Football last week, and J.C. Horn didn't make the interception, but he was like, I guess it was just an errant throw. That's his nice way of saying, yeah, Desmond Ridder made a really bad throw. He made an egregious mistake, and it was almost a laughable mistake. But Arthur Smith is an offensive-minded head coach, and Arthur Smith has enough offensive talent where he should have been able to win that division, even without having a really good quarterback. But Kyle Pitts has never popped off under Arthur Smith. You have Drake London, who is a dog and who is a really good wide receiver. And then you have 2 really good running backs in Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, and they should be the focal point of your team. And the just horrible way that Smith has used Bijan Robinson, it just makes me say, why'd you pick him in the top 10? Why would you pick a running back in the top 10 if you're not going to use him properly? You're like barely using him at the goal line, and you have not run the ball with him enough. And Arthur Smith has allowed this season to get away from Atlanta, and now it's desperation time of, okay, we'll go back to Taylor Ham-Heineke and see if he could turn this season around with your backs up against the wall and you don't have a margin of error anymore. And you should be kissing the floor that the Saints stink and Mickey Loomis was a dope in signing Derek Carr to a 4-year contract, because if the Saints would have won last night, they really would have been toast. And we'll see if the Bucs could take advantage this weekend, but I don't have any hope for the Falcons. And they have a good team. Like they are a quarterback and a coach away. And I know that's a lot. But their defense, with a new defensive coordinator, has turned it around this year. You have a really good young cornerback as well. You have some good pieces on both sides of the ball. And you got to bring in a new coach. Because I don't think Arthur Smith turns it around next year. And you know what? I know we have speculated Jim Harbaugh in a lot of places. And I mean a ton of places. We've talked about Jim Harbaugh going to the Chargers. We've talked about Jim Harbaugh going to the Raiders. We've talked about Jim Harbaugh going to the Commanders. We've talked about Jim Harbaugh, even though I don't think those egos would clash well, going to the Carolina Panthers. Jim Harbaugh going to the Buffalo Bills, even though I don't think McDermott's going to get fired now. No one's talking about Jim Harbaugh going to the Atlanta Falcons. And Jim Harbaugh wants an NFL job. The last 2 off seasons, he hasn't been offered an NFL job. Arthur Blank basically showed you his cards the other day when I didn't think he would be impatient and fire Arthur Smith after this season, but he did not give Arthur Smith a ringing endorsement. It was like, hey, we'll wait and see what happens in the final 3 weeks, and then we'll make a decision. I translate as Arthur Smith, you don't win this division, you ain't coming back as the head coach. And Arthur Smith doesn't deserve to be the head coach anymore because he mismanaged this. And I look at Jim Harbaugh. At least make the offer Arthur blank. You gotta. Jim Harbaugh will run Bijan Robinson. He will run Tyler Algier. And then you could find a way, because you will have a competent head coach who will know how to utilize what you have right now to get the most out of this team. He will buy you time to eventually find that quarterback. So Arthur Smith is the first person up here on the list from CBS, and I think he will get fired at the end of the season. The next one, Matt Eberflus. You know, Eberflus never did strike me as a head coach. I always just thought he was better off being a defensive coordinator. I was surprised when the Bears did hire him 2 years ago. I know not everything has been perfect, and Fields is playing some good football down the stretch. They're 5-9. He has not done a brutal job this season. There are some accountability problems with Matt Eberflus, but I do believe it's time to reset with Chicago. Now, the Fields conversation is a different one because Fields is playing himself into maybe being the starting quarterback next year, but if you don't believe in him long term, and I know DJ Moore does, you could get the best draft pick you're going to get for him this offseason because he's kind of restored the way that we viewed about him before the start of the year, where it was like, this is a make or break year, and he's done a solid job in a bad organization and a bad situation in Chicago. So I'm more curious to see if Ryan Poles is back with those 2 first-round picks looming, and if Justin Fields is back. And you can't make the case, if Poles and Fields are back, then Eberflus should be back, but I don't think Eberflus is going to be back as the head coach of the Chicago Bears. And I think it was Jordan Schultz who was pointing out that Kevin Warren, who's the president of the Bears, does not have a good relationship with Jim Harbaugh. So maybe that's why, because he used to be the commissioner of the Big Ten. So maybe that's why the Jim Harbaugh stuff has not been pushed as much to Chicago as of late. But with all due respect to Warren, if that's the reason and you can't find a way to make nice with Jim Harbaugh, and Harbaugh wanted to coach the Bears where he did play for them, well, I would get rid of Warren and I would make sure that Harbaugh would be the coach. Number 3, Robert Saleh. I don't think Robert Saleh will be fired, but it's tough for me to justify why he should be back. And I do believe Rodgers saying the other day that he wants to play for 2 seasons with the Jets bare minimum. It would make it easier of a situation to move on from Robert Saleh. But then Rodgers followed it up, and we know he runs the organization, how much he loves Joe Douglas, how much he loves Robert Saleh, and, of course, his BFF, his little buddy, in Nate Hackett. So Rodgers runs the team, and Rodgers could lie here and there, right? We all know that. But if that is actually genuine, which I do sense it is, because Rodgers knows he could control Robert Saleh, I do think even though Robert Saleh shouldn't be back, he will be back as the coach of the New York Jets. In at number 2, Ron Rivera. This is the easiest one. Ron Rivera, because he's a nice guy, and because he's well-respected in the NFL, and because he had to take so much on the chin in trying to clean up the mess over and over again of Daniel Snyder, I think Josh Harris said we'll allow him to coach out the rest of the season. I think you probably would have been doing him a favor if you got rid of him 5-6 weeks ago. But remember, Ron Rivera is a very proud guy. Ron Rivera is a coaching veteran, one of the more respected people in the game, even though he's no longer a good coach, a good head coach in the year of 2023. And this is like his last hurrah. Like maybe he goes on TV, maybe someone brings him in as a senior analyst or something like that. Maybe he gets moved to the front office, something like that. But Ron Rivera is just not a formidable head coach anymore in the year of 2023. The game has passed him by. He used to be known as Riverboat Ron. He's gotten very conservative this year. The game against Philly, you have to go for the 2-point conversion. He didn't do that. I think it's time for Ron to hang it up. And Ron Rivera should be proud of a lot of things that he's done in the NFL. And it would have been nearly impossible to turn around the Commanders. Never got a quarterback. but it would have been impossible to turn around the Commanders as long as Daniel Snyder was the owner. Now Josh Harris is there, and you know he's going to clean house after this season. And then number one, Bill Belichick. So I don't think Belichick will be back next year in New England, but I don't know if they're going to fire him. Like, let's go around the room here real quickly. Stu, will Belichick get traded this offseason? Will he get fired this offseason? Or do you think he'll be back as the Patriots head coach next year?
I don't think he'll be back. I think that's the least likely of those scenarios, but I think the most likely is that he gets traded.
Okay, so you think
I don't think he gets fired. I think he gets traded to another team.
Samter, trade, fired, or brought back for Bill Belichick?
I think the way it's announced is agreed to part ways.
So that's a firing.
Yes, but I don't think the Patriots are going to, quote, fire him.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kraft has too much respect for him. He's too much of a legend. They'll just say the Patriots and Bill Belichick agreed to part ways. I don't think he's going to get traded.
I think there's a chance he could get fired, actually. Because here's the reason why. What you're saying makes sense. Agreed to part ways, that's basically a firing. The Patriots should want to trade him. You reset. You had a run that no one could have predicted. If they want to bring him back, I'm more than fine with that. He's Bill Belichick. The guy's still a good coach. I don't care what any of you idiots say about him. The guy has coached his ass off with the defense. He has mismanaged the offense. We know that. You put Bill Belichick on a team with some talent, everyone's going to go back to blowing smoke up Belichick's you-know-what, saying he's one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest coach of all time. I think the last few years, even though Brady's more important than Belichick, and I've been someone that said that from, the last 4 or 5 years when they started their divorce, because Belichick tells you players are the reason why they win. I think they forget the early stages of the dynasty, and I do think they forget some games that were won by the defense, and it was a great partnership. Brady needed Bill, Bill needed Brady for them both to go on to win as many Super Bowls as they did. Brady has clearly displayed he could win on his own. I think if Belichick in the right situation, he could go win on his own as well. But the reason why I could see Belichick getting fired is because he may want to get fired. Because if they have a meeting at the end of the year and they try to rectify the situation and say, Bill, you need to bring in a GM, or Bill, we're looking to trade you, why would Bill want to help out the Patriots? Now, I get it. He has all the respect in the world for Robert Kraft, and they are very, very close. Not as close as clearly Brady and Kraft were, because Kraft refers to Brady as like a son. Belichick doesn't allow you to get that close to him just with his personality. But I don't know if Belichick necessarily wants to leave, and if they're trying to force him out, he may want his freedom so he could go pick his team, and the other team doesn't need to give up a first-round pick to go get him. I always think this comes down to the meeting at the end of the year. And Kraft may be leaning one way or another, but what goes on in that meeting will determine, does Belichick get traded or does Belichick get fired? And I think it's more likely that Belichick gets traded or gets fired than it is that he's back coaching the team next year. But those are the three options. And when I go through and I dissect them, I could see a way where Belichick doesn't want to fall in line with what Kraft wants to do. And then it's like, okay, we'll just grant you your release and we'll fire you part ways, however you want to call it. All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. I'll bring this up later on the show. I have two names that I think, with some news out there, could be some surprising coaches that people aren't talking about right now about getting chopped at the end of the year that may end up getting the axe. So we'll bring those up later on during the show. It is the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. We'll take a timeout. When we come on back, big Dolphins-Cowboys game this weekend. Channing Crowder's going to join us on the other side. Former Dolphins linebacker, does an excellent job. WQAM, the Pivot Podcast, and also Inside the NFL.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining.
We continue. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on CBS Sports Radio. We'll go out to the guest line right now and welcome in a man that I thought I would never talk to again on this show after he said some things about Dak Prescott this offseason, where he was just telling the truth about Dak. He annoyed all the Cowboys fans, and also they had an emergency meeting with the pivot crew to try to see how they would continue the employment of one Channing Crowder, who's kind enough to join us right now, the former Dolphins linebacker. You can catch him 560 WQAM inside the NFL and also on the pivot. Channing, how are you?
I'm good, man. Doing some last-minute shopping with the wife. I need you to forward me some money. We just left Saks Fifth Avenue, and so I'm broke.
Yeah, a former NFL player asking me to give them some money. Come on, Channing. You know that doesn't work.
You got my Zelle, bro. Zelle me a little something.
So what did you get? Yeah, anything good that you ended up getting or have to purchase?
Well, the wife got some shoes. We did the kids. We got them with the big paddle boats where you can paddle with your feet and steer around the lake. So that was a cool gift that I'm going to utilize when the kids aren't.
What was the best gift you ever got from a teammate, maybe, like in the locker room during this time of the year?
Ooh, Aiken and Dale gave great gifts.
Yeah.
Aiken and Dale would give you Louis bags. I think I still have a Gucci wallet from him. Aiken and Dale went all the way in. The worst, I don't know, a lot of the big fat linemen, they'll give you weird stuff like barbecue sauce and spices and things. Very
Overalls.
weird stuff. Yeah, they I don't know, they get a little too eccentric or try to be too cute, but yeah, man, no. You know what it is? It's rich guys, because Aiken signed his big deal with Dallas and came to the Dolphins. So I would say rich guys. That's the best gifts I get from all the rich guys I know.
Channing Crowder here with us on the Zach Gelb Show. What is your view of Tua Tagovailoa, by the way, as a quarterback?
Man, I think he's amazing. He's a top 5 guy. The numbers say it. You know, people want to criticize him. He's a top 5 quarterback in the league. He is in the MVP race. You put his numbers against everybody else, and he's right there with them. It's crazy that they criticize him for having Tyreek Hill, but don't criticize Joe Burrow for having T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd and Joe Mixon. It's weird. It's a weird thing. We talked about it before, Gail. It's a weird thing that has been done to Tua. The injuries are there. We understand that. But when you watch him play at the level he's playing at, I don't get the criticism of Tua. He is a top-notch quarterback right now, and I think we can make a good run into these playoffs.
Now, their games do pick up in intensity, but that's been the one knock on him this year. They haven't really beat a great opponent, and for me, the lasting image, and he's having a really good season, I'm not taking anything away from that, is that game up against Kansas City where the underthrow, the miscommunication, whatever you want to call it, on third down to Cedric Wilson Jr., and then the next play he fumbled the snap. So why do you still believe, as the games mean more and the Dolphins can go far this year, that Tua is going to get the job done and make the big throws?
That's the next step in young quarterbacks, is making that, like you're saying, Kansas City down by 7 into the game. I always say that the great quarterbacks, you can put up the numbers you want. You can say all the accolades they have. You're going to be down by 5 late in the fourth quarter, and you're going to have to put a drive together to win. The Philly game, they lost to Philly. It was a 7-point game right there. I think 6-7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They couldn't finish. So I'm believing in Tua that he can make all the throws. We've seen what he's ate up defenses this year with numbers, touchdowns, and all this stuff. It's the finishing, and that's what the young quarterback can do. But I believe in Tua, and really the Tua-Mike McDaniel combination is where Mike's going to put him in the best situation to succeed. But I still need to see it. Zach, I'm not saying this man is the Super Bowl winning quarterback right now because he hasn't been there. How the hell can I say he wins it? But I believe in him enough, and I've seen enough that he's going to start winning these big games late. And that's what we're going to see. You hit it on the head. Bro, Dallas, then Baltimore, and then Buffalo. And Buffalo is rolling right now. So we're going to see in these next 3 weeks, he's going to have to finish the game. I promise you. I'm going to give you this gift for Christmas. There's going to be a fourth quarter the next 3 weeks where he's going to have to go score a touchdown to win the game. And I believe he can.
Channing Crowder here with us. So it's one thing to say that you believe in him. There's another thing to put your money where your mouth is. This offseason, he could be in line for a big contract extension with only 1 year left on that deal. Would you give him that $40-45 million a deal contract and make sure that he's the quarterback of the future with the Dolphins?
I would, because there's not a lot of great ones out there. Even if you don't want to call them great in the league, Zach, you got to call them very good. And there's not a lot out there. We're watching some of these teams flounder around. We're watching the Jets, who is just that's the worst offense I've seen in a long time. You're watching some of these offenses get 90 yards a game and things like that. So I would give Tua a big deal. And he's proven this year now, he's taking hits and he's not getting injured. So he's proven it. I don't know if the jiu-jitsu worked or whatever, but the scheme behind it, and I'm not naive. I know that he's getting the ball out of his hands very fast, one of the fastest releases in the league. But that's why I always bring up McDaniel with his success, because him and McDaniel together. If it was still Chan Gailey running this offense, if it was some of these unimpressive, I was about to say a bad word, these unimpressive OCs that Tua's had in the past, I wouldn't believe in the offense enough to give Tua that money. But with Mike McDaniel there and Tua doing what he's doing this season in that offense, man, I'm telling you, I don't want to end up with Zach Wilson and Trevor Siemian and those boys. So I would give Tua his money.
How about Dak Prescott? Last time I asked you about him, you went viral. You got yourself in a whole bunch of trouble for just being authentic and honest. And so far, you haven't been wrong. You have the Dolphins going up against the Cowboys this weekend. Your view through the first 15 weeks of the season is what on Dak?
Dak he had a hell of a stretch. You even got on me because I was like, hey, man, Dak's playing good ball. And you were like, oh, now you're backpedaling. I was like, oh, to what we're talking about, Zach. And you do it too. If a guy's playing well, you'll say, hey, this guy's playing some good ball.
Yeah.
If he messes up and if he starts, going on those downhill slants that we've seen Dak do, especially in big games, you have to say it. And that's what I said about Dak, and I'll keep saying it about Dak. I need to see Dak do something when it really counts, when it matters. Just like we're speaking about Tua in that stretch he's on. Dak needs to do that, and I've seen it happen. I've seen him fold in the playoffs, 3 years in a row now. I've seen him go out there and score 12 points against the 49ers. What was it, 16, I think, the next year? Like 12 and 6. Son can put up 12 points in an NFL game at quarterback. So that's the thing with Dak I have to see. And he's been in, I know Mark McCarthy took it over. He was with Kellen Moore before that. He's had weapons around him. He's had CeeDee Lamb for years. He had a great running back. He has one of the best O-lines in the league. Like, he's had all the weapons and continue to fail in those big games late in the fourth, or even in some of them games in the last couple of years, they weren't even in the game in the fourth. So Dak is a good quarterback. I won't go to Cam Newton and say he's a game manager. I think that's, people take that a little harder. But Dak's a good quarterback, but he's the face of America's team. And when you're that, you need to go out there and show out. In my mind, I had a 4-week stretch. I think he threw for like 1,200 yards or something in them 4 weeks. It was impressive. I need to see it now when it counts.
For the next 5 years, would you rather have Tua or would you rather have Dak?
Tua.
Why?
100% Tua. That's not even a homer. I think Tua has a higher upside. I think we've seen Dak's ceiling. I really do. I think we've seen Dak's ceiling. I think Tua still has ways to go. I think as he matures in this offense, as he matures with a I would say great, honestly. I'll call Mike McDaniel a great offensive coordinator, great head coach. As he matures through that, I think Tua, I know Tua has a higher ceiling than Dak Prescott.
So who wins this game, Channing Crowder? Dolphins, Cowboys. Tell me how it plays out.
I think the Dolphins win it. It's gonna be played in the trenches, though. The quarterbacks are gonna be the story. I've already seen the narrative playing out. These two quarterbacks, future, two I would say teams that could get to the Super Bowl, honestly, if Dak and Tua. Well, if you look at the Dolphins, and I don't want to give the cheat code to the Dolphins, but these coaches are smart. The Philly game, they got dominated in the trenches. Buffalo, early in the year, dominated in the trenches. That's how Tennessee beat them. Tennessee had 5 sacks. We only sacked Will Levis one time. He had 320 yards passing. We're I don't say finesse. It's not even a knock when you use these words. Dolphins are more of a finesse team. If you come out and try to bully them, that's when you can win, when you beat them up in the trenches. So I think after watching last week, after seeing what Buffalo did to Dallas's trenches, they have some big names up there. They do have some great players in that front. Micah Parsons is one of my favorite players I've ever watched in my life. But they're not as physical as people want to say they are. So I think the Dolphins will be able to run on them like Buffalo rushed 51 times. It's a copycat league. Rush on them, slow down Micah, slow down D-Lo, and I think the Dolphins win this game. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, though, but I think the Dolphins win this game.
Wrapping up with Channing Crowder, right now, would you go 49ers or the field to win the Super Bowl?
Ooh. Oh. Bro, you promised me health, I'll go Niners, but the Ravens are playing good ball, and they have I would say, it's crazy to say, their defense is probably better than the Niners' defense. I would go the field. Because I've seen the Niners injuries come up. They're going to play some very physical teams. They have 3 games left now, and then they're rolling through that NFC. So I would say the field, but I'm telling you, I love the Niners. That's why you gave me that one. But I would say the field because there are some good teams in that AFC as well.
Well, do you think the Niners beat the Ravens this weekend when you see it on Monday?
Yes, because they're healthy.
Okay. Now, how about the MVP? That's been the biggest conversation. We talked about this when I was on your show earlier in the week, Channing Crowder. Purdy is probably going to win it because quarterbacks get a 50-yard head start and everyone's 50 yards behind them. but I do feel like the two most valuable players in football this year have been Tyreek Hill and then also Christian McCaffrey.
Yes, Tyreek had to break the 2,000 mark, had to break the receiving record to win it flat out. We talked about that since week 1, missing that game last week. I think he has to go for 230 in the last 3 games, all 230 each game to get to that mark. So I don't think if he breaks the record, he doesn't get it. Christian McCaffrey, what he does in the receiving and the rushing, he is the most valuable player in football. But to your point, Brock Purdy is taking home the award because quarterbacks are going to get it. Listen, all he has to do is flip it out to Christian McCaffrey. He scuttles, jumps over 6 people and scores. That's 60-yard touchdown for Brock Purdy. So Christian McCaffrey's success is going to get Brock Purdy the MVP.
Just circling back to Tua before we let you run. I didn't like, even though he was defending himself, him at the podium. I thought he spent too much time saying, I don't care what people say about me. But then when you spend that much time on it, you actually do care what they say. Are there any mental concerns with Tua? I know he's been through a lot, but it seems like that outside noise is starting to get to him.
I hated it too. You didn't have to read into it, Zach. He said, I don't listen to outside noise, but I'm keeping receipts. What are you keeping receipts of if you're not listening? What is the receipt of? So I don't like it. I don't like when players do that. But nowadays, it's this new age athlete, man. It's the new age athlete. They have to listen. They got to go on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and all that other stuff. They have to do it. And I hate when they come out and say it. Because to me, as an old guy, I'm the old curmudgeon. I'm just like, who cares what people think? Literally, and I feel that way. Who cares what people think? But it doesn't. I don't question Tua at all mentally. Because how he was babied and how he was so quiet and gentle and stand. He didn't act like a starting quarterback. He didn't. As I grew up watching, I would tell you to kiss their butt if you got mad, if you got on them too much. So I kind of like him getting an edge. And that's what I took from it. I don't enjoy it on any level of sports, but I love it for Tua because how Brian Flores painted him as this little gentle, delicate, emotional flower that he's kind of getting out that shell now.
Are you going to the Super Bowl, by the way, this year?
I will be there.
All righty.
I'm going to go for the week. I'll be there all week, doing media, doing different things. I think we have a deal with the Aria. We're going to do stuff at the Aria because them damn tickets and the rooms are too expensive. So we're going to try to barter some stuff off. But I'll be there for the week. I don't know if I'm going to go to the game, but I'll be there for the week.
Do I need a bodyguard when I see Ryan Clark and Fred Taylor just because I got you in all this trouble criticizing Dak Prescott? I don't want those guys swinging at me. Am I good?
Bro, they love you. We watched the clip. I'm not lying. You joked about it. I told you. And so they were like, well, I can never come on the show now. I was like, man, if you ask me a question, I'm going to give you an answer. So they do. They know who Zach Gelb is, and you have no problem with them because I told them, you're tight with me. If you're tight with me, you're tight with them. We'll go have a beer.
Absolutely love it. Channing Crowder, you're the best. Appreciate it, my friend. Happy holidays to you and your family.
Appreciate you, brother. Happy holidays yours, too.
There he is, Channing Crowder, joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. You could stream the NFL on Westwood One for free. Sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. We'll come on back with the news brief. Also, 2 head coaches that no one's talking about right now that could get axed at the end of the season. But first up, standing by with the latest CBS Sports Radio update, here is El Capitan, Marco Belletti.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
Now, Zach, the Florida State Board of Trustees has voted unanimously to sue the ACC to challenge the legality of the grant of rights and their $130 million withdrawal fee, as the Seminoles are intent on leaving the conference. They're also in uncharted territory, as no school has ever challenged a grant of rights in court. Busy weekend. Pivotal NFL games begin Saturday. Bengals and Steelers. Pittsburgh going Mason Rudolph after Kenny Pickett was officially ruled out. And Mike Tomlin's aware they need to get their offense in gear if they want to make a playoff push.
We're definitively open to making whatever changes necessary in an effort to change the outcome of football games. Man, you don't need more than 2 or 3 weekends to see a pattern, particularly ones that you don't like.
Now, elsewhere, C.J. Stroud officially ruled out for the Texans once again against the Browns this weekend. Trevor Lawrence back at practice for the Jaguars. Still needs to clear concussion protocol in order to play against the Bucs on Sunday. Is officially listed as questionable. If he can't go, C.J. Beathard will get the nod. Jets going Trevor Siemian against the Commanders. Zach Wilson remains in concussion protocol. This will be the 4th different starter for the Jets this year, the most they've used in a single season since 1989. And Geno Smith continues to make progress from the injured groin, but still no word if he's going to get the call against the Titans after Drew Lock led Seattle to the come-from-behind victory against the Eagles. I'm Marco Belletti.
CBS Sports Radio is turning up the heat this December.
From the NFL playoff push, bowl games, and coast-to-coast action from the NBA hardcourt to the college game,
we've got you covered.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad.
Now back to the Zach Gelb Show.
Let's take a look at who's got home field advantage this weekend in our NCAA football preview, sponsored by Fairfield by Marriott, official hotel partner of the NCAA, Fairfield by Marriott, of course. And with over 1,000 locations around the country, you will always have the home field advantage. Visit fairfield.marriott.com to book your stay. Later tonight, 6-6 UCF. Maybe they'll claim this bowl championship, even if they win it or not. Takes on 6-6 Georgia Tech in the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. It is played at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, just 100 miles away from UCF's campus. I remember when this was the Bad Boys Mower Gasparilla Bowl. Now it's the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. So how about that? So earlier we were talking about coaches that could get fired. Every year, it seems like there is a surprise firing. Can I just float out two? Number one, and the reason why I'm floating this out there, doesn't mean I think it's going to happen. I saw that Mike Flory, who I love from Pro Football Talk, was on with Sean and RJ earlier this morning on 105.3 The Fan. Love those guys. And Mike Florio said it's not impossible Belichick would be on Jerry's radar if the playoff loss is clearly pinnable to McCarthy. So let's just go around the room here. Stu, can you see at the end of this season Mike McCarthy getting fired as the head coach of the Cowboys? He's had back-to-back 12-win seasons and is well on that way to get to that number again or eclipse it with 3 weeks left of the regular season.
Yeah, if they lose in the first round again like they typically do, and they have a really bad showing, I could totally see Jerry Jones saying, okay, let's blame it on McCarthy and get a new coach.
Or if you beat the NFC South opponent again in that 4-5 game and then you lose the second weekend, it's like, did you really win a playoff game? Like, did they really win a playoff game last year? I know it's Brady, but it was Tampa Bay. They were 8-9. To do that and then to have your quarterback just pee his pants in the final, in the entirety of that game, really. Maybe you are right. Samter, can you see Jerry saying goodbye to Mike McCarthy?
I mean, I could. If I had to put like a percentage on it, I would go like 10%.
Okay, so low.
I still think it's very low, even if, I mean, he's been lauding McCarthy, right? Like, Arthur Blank kind of hemmed and hawed about Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
And Jerry Jones was like, the best part of our team this year has been the coaching. Mike McCarthy being the offensive coordinator and the play caller and the head coach has been amazing. Everything about the coaching staff and Mike McCarthy has been great. He's been effusive in his praise. So I would be surprised, but if they go one and done, especially if they lose to an NFC South team, then maybe.
I think they would have to lose to the NFC South team. But that's also assuming that they get the 5 seed. And it does create this argument. Would you rather be the 5 seed and not get that home playoff game? Or would you rather be the 2 seed, you get the home playoff game, but you avoid the NFC South, and you may get like the Rams? That's a possibility. Like, let me ask you this, Samter. Would you rather be the 2 seed, be home, and then if you win, you're home for the next game, but you get the Rams in the first round, who are red hot? Or would you rather be on the road where the Cowboys have not fared well, but you know the first game is up against the NFC South champion, which either be Tampa Bay or would be New Orleans?
I'd rather be the 2 seed because in that scenario, if you are the 5 seed on the road and you win, barring an upset with the 2 seed losing to the 7,
you're on the road probably.
You're going to number 1, right? If the 2 seed beats the 7, and the
Niners go down,
right?
Let's say.
Well, the Niners would be the 1 seed. They get the first round bye.
Yeah.
Right? So if the 2 seed beats the 7,
yeah,
then you, as the 4 seed or the 5 seed, would likely, possibly end up facing the 1 seed.
Okay, gotcha.
Right? So, like, I guess if there's an upset in the first round, because they do the lowest seed goes on.
I don't get what you're saying here, honestly.
So the lowest seed plays the highest seed.
Yes.
Right? So if the 6th seed wins their first round match, they play the 49ers in the second round.
Oh, okay. Wait. So what does this have to do with the Cowboys here?
So what I'm saying is if you're the 2 seed, the odds of you facing the 49ers in the second round on the road is 0.
It's slim.
It's
Gotcha.
0. You can't.
You can't.
The 2 seed cannot. But as the 5 seed, you might be facing San Fran in the second round.
Of facing them, yeah.
Right. So I would still go with the 2 seed.
Gotcha. I would agree with you on that. Even though it was a long way to getting there, I think we agree. Now, here's the
You
other.
understand what I'm saying, though, right?
Yes. At first, I thought you had too much to drink last night, and I'm like, what the heck? He's still drunk from our dinner last night.
No.
But now I get what you're saying. What you're saying is the 2 seed, you avoid the 49ers until the NFC Championship game.
And
that's their kryptonite.
And then there's a hope that maybe some team beats the Niners in the divisional round.
Someone gets hurt or they just have a bad night. It happens. That's the perfect way to say it. Now, here's the other name here. No one would be talking about this guy getting fired before the start of the season. I don't think anyone's talking about it now. But I see in one report today by Jeff McClain from the Philadelphia Inquirer, there is internal concern regarding Jalen Hurts within the Eagles organization. The Eagles want their franchise quarterback to be authentic, but also to open himself up more in the locker room and have more outward leadership style when it's needed during difficult stretches. Also in this article, it says the Eagles were the most miserable 10-1 team ever, a team source told the Philadelphia Inquirer. Let's just say Eagles get into the playoffs, they're one and done. They don't even win a first-round playoff game. Out of 100%, Stu, what are the chances that Nick Sirianni would get fired?
5.
Samter?
No, Sirianni's not going anywhere.
So 0.
Same as McCarthy, 5%, 10%. I mean,
yeah, it might be
not
less than
0,
5.
but
It might be like 2.
Yeah, very little.
So I think there is a 0% chance that Nick Sirianni, even if they lose that first-round playoff game,
no, I agree.
40-7, there is a 0% chance that he gets fired.
Right.
I think there's like an 18% chance McCarthy gets fired, and I defend McCarthy. I actually think McCarthy's a better coach than what a lot of people give him credit for, but Nick Sirianni was just in the Super Bowl last year. And also, Howie Roseman likes a coach that he can control. And that's why him and Doug Peterson didn't work at the end, because Doug was like, I'm the only coach in the history of this franchise to win a Super Bowl. I don't need Howie holding my hand over every little thing I do, telling me what to do. Sirianni, everyone was surprised when he got a head coaching job. Like, no one even knew who he was. And I don't believe Howie Roseman would want to get rid of Sirianni, nor would it be justified. Where in year 1, they make the playoffs. Year 2, they go to the Super Bowl. It would not be justified after year 3 if, let's say, they're one and done, or even if they get to the divisional round to get embarrassed, for him to get shown the door. I don't think that would be fair whatsoever. So I don't think Sirianni gets fired. I don't think McCarthy gets fired. But I wonder if those names start to prop up a little bit more in the surprise firing category. Let's get to a news brief.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Bill Cowher on George Pickens and this just disgusting situation where there's no accountability in Pittsburgh via the Pat McAfee show.
it is disappointing to see and hear what George Pickens talks about, because culture really is about commitment and sacrifice. And, you know, you're not just playing with one another, you're playing for one another. And no, I could never imagine a player at all not performing and giving everything, because to me, it's all about effort. That is very bothersome. I think there's got to be consequences to that, because you have to have accountability, and you don't do anything and there's no consequence to the choice that he made. Now you're losing accountability. And I think that's a very, very important element to have in that building.
Yeah, it's a joke. George Pickens, I didn't want to block because I was afraid of getting hurt. Come on. This guy's just quit on the team. And Tomlin should sit him down. It's disgraceful that Tomlin didn't sit him down. Here is Ryan Clark on Mike Tomlin's future with the Steelers, just courtesy of Get Up on ESPN.
Andy Reid eventually had to move on from Philadelphia. It didn't mean that Andy Reid couldn't coach anymore. It meant that he shouldn't be coaching there. And Coach Tomlin should now move on from Pittsburgh. And everybody should line up to hire him, because the freaking man knows how to do it, but he shouldn't do it there anymore. He got settled into that. If I let these dudes be who they are, if I let these dudes just play, if I put them in the best position to get to Sunday and treat them a certain way, they're going to reward me. These dudes ain't rewarding him. These dudes are taking advantage of him.
Well, that's also on the coach, right? He should not be playing George Pickens this week. I do kind of agree with Ryan Clark, though, that it does feel like it's time for them to split. I don't think the Steelers, it would be easy for them to find a better coach than Mike Tomlin. But for Tomlin, I know it's a gold standard organization and they rarely make any changes, so you feel safe there and you won there. I would kind of be open for a new chapter, too, and I think it's a good comparison. Andy Reid leaving Philadelphia, and I know Tomlin won a Super Bowl there and Andy Reid did not, and then trying that next chapter. Let's go to RG3 on the Sean Payton blowout and the whole controversy with him chewing out Russell Wilson on the sideline. RG3 and the Real Ones podcast.
Sean Payton, as a coach, if you don't want people to ask that question, then you can't do that to your quarterback on the sideline. To me, that moment said, you're not my guy. I don't respect you. I don't like you. He embarrassed his quarterback on the sideline. And now the rest of the team, in my opinion, is more so looking at that moment like, damn, Sean Payton really don't rock with Russell Wilson. I do feel like Sean Payton should come out in the media publicly and apologize to Russell Wilson.
Yeah, it just gives more fuel to the fire that those two don't actually love each other. Here's Micah Parsons on if he's faster than Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek knows I am faster than him. You know, it's not fun at all when you're getting ready to go against someone like Tyreek Hill, because I know I got to run faster than I ever have all year, and I might hit a miles per hour Mach speed. I might hit, chasing someone like him.
Yeah, you're going to need some oxygen. Anyone that goes up against Tyreek Hill needs some oxygen. Last night on Thursday Night Football on Prime Video, Kirk Herbstreit saw Shohei Ohtani in attendance, and he butchered his name.
They just showed Shohan Ohtani up on the floor.
Shohei Ohtani, now a Dodger. That's the reason for the cheering.
It sounded like he was trying to say Kadarius Toney.
Shohan Ohtani.
Yeah.
They just showed Shohan Ohtani up on the
That's incredible. That really is. How much he's probably thought about Kadarius Toney, and then it's like Shohei Ohtani, and you end up going with the mixture of that.
But
like
Tony's not even playing in the game.
Yeah, if Ohtani and Toney had a kid, I guess that's how it would be pronounced.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's live. He's nationwide on CBS Sports Radio. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, hour number 3 of our radio program. That's right, it is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on CBS Sports Radio. Last night, Derek Carr was Derek Carr. P.U. And the Saints laid an egg for the first 3 quarters. Basically did nothing out of one touchdown pass by Derek Carr, and then he puffed up those stats in the fourth quarter, making it a game, which was never really a game, but cutting it down to 8 points with 2 fourth quarter touchdown passes. You know, it's funny. Like last night when I gave you the prediction on the air, I looked at the spread and I was like, oh, it's 4.5 points. They're basically begging you to plus it with the Saints, so I'll lay it with the 4.5 on the Rams, but I didn't feel great about it. And then after a few drinks with our crew after the show last night and some good pasta and some good charcuterie board and some pepperoni wings that they had at this restaurant and some rice balls and then some rigatoni alla vodka and some cacio e pepe and whatever Samter sandwich was having last night, which looked really delicious. And I got back to my apartment right at 8:15, right when the game started. And I said, all right, I got to hammer the Rams. Because for two reasons. One, the Rams are a better team than the Saints. And then number two, I do thoroughly enjoy rooting against Derek Carr. I don't know why. Like, Derek Carr shouldn't be polarizing to me, but he is polarizing. And maybe it's because all the excuses that people make for Derek Carr, it really just grinds my gears. And not only that, I think it's more so his brother David Carr, who I've never met. I've never had a conversation with. And I guess you do want someone being loyal and defending your brother. But David Carr has no problem criticizing all these other quarterbacks around the league. But then when it comes to his brother, he treats him as if he's the greatest thing ever. And okay, you want to make excuses for what transpired with the Raiders. There's a lot of crap that the Raiders put Derek Carr through. That was not fair. I'll be the first one to admit it. But this thought, when Derek Carr was available this offseason, that, oh, you're getting a great quarterback. Huh? Like, what are we talking about? And it shows you how blah and how slightly above average Derek Carr is when you don't even need to be great. You don't even need to be very, very good to win the NFC South this year. And you're blowing this opportunity. And look who's outplaying him. Baker freaking Mayfield is outplaying Derek Carr. Like you say, for the next 4 or 5 years, would you rather have Zach Baker Mayfield or Derek Carr? I'd rather have Baker Mayfield. Because I know what Derek Carr is. At least Baker Mayfield will fool you here and there 2 years ago and had that great season in 2020, and then he gets hurt, and then we're trying to figure out, is it the injury or is it more him just not being that good? And then he went to a bad situation in Carolina. But this year, he's got the respect of a locker room that, followed by the GOAT Tom Brady for the last 2-3 years, and they knew what Brady did to that locker room. And Baker has come in, and yeah, we all know, right? Brady's better than Baker. Come on, like, I'm not saying that. But Brady, after leaving, I thought there was going to be a big drop-off for the Bucs. And in a division where you don't even have to be that good, like, Baker's playing good football. And guys like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Levante David, they respect on both sides of the ball what Baker Mayfield brings to this team. So Derek Carr is having a brutal year, and I know he's had some injuries. But like last night, you're playing, throwing short of the sticks on 4th down, turnover on downs, an interception that was brutal, and you dug yourself in a deep hole, and yeah, you climbed out of it a little bit, but you know it was going to be too little too late to actually come on back and win that game. So I think there's 2 takeaways from last night. Takeaway number 1, stop telling me that Derek Carr is a sensational quarterback. Stop telling me that he's even a good quarterback. And stop saying that Derek Carr can be something that he's not. And then the other takeaway, how about these Rams? I am thoroughly impressed with the LA Rams. The LA Rams, before the start of the season, I thought they were trending in the wrong direction. Super Bowl champions 2 years ago. Last year, bleep hit the fan. But what concerned me with the Rams is that Sean McVay, I know he got an extension. 1 foot in, 1 foot out with the retirement talk. Aaron Donald, 1 foot in, 1 foot out with the retirement talk. Matthew Stafford's wife, basically making it sound like he couldn't connect with the younger teammates. 1 foot in, 1 foot out with the retirement talk. Bobby Wagner wanted out of the Rams to go back to Seattle because Bobby Wagner had to think that this ship was about to sink with the LA Rams. Think about that. And the Rams started off the year 3-6. They looked like they were headed to failure, to just disaster. And with this ship about to be like capsized. That's what it looked like with the LA Rams. And now they've won 5 out of their last 6 games. And not only have they won 5 out of their last 6 games, Puka Nacua is an emerging star in this league. Cooper Kupp, back, healthy. Aaron Donald, still great. Sean McVay, boy wonder on the offensive side of the ball. And let's give credit to Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is playing some good football the last month or two. And not only that, Matthew Stafford displayed some mobility last night. There was a throw where that if Patrick Mahomes made that throw and had that escape and then fired the ball down the field for a big conversion, we would all be like, oh my God, what a throw by Mahomes. Oh, Mahomes this, and I love Mahomes. But Matthew Stafford displayed some athleticism last night that I didn't think he had that in him. I didn't think he had that dog and that mobility in him. But he did. And now the Rams, in an NFC that's solid. Like the 49ers are great, but we've changed our tune on the Eagles. The Cowboys we know are not great. The Lions we know are not great. You know, I thought the NFC wildcard teams are going to be like, like, all righty. Not much to really think about. But either the Eagles or the Cowboys are going to be a wild card team. You know, the Vikings just don't have a quarterback, so it's tough to take them seriously. We'll see if the Seahawks get in. But how Buffalo is the team that's ascending at the right time in the AFC, that's what the Rams are doing in the NFC. And here's why I like the Rams a lot. It's because they know how to win, and they're not going to fear anyone. Like, if you have a young team that struggled early, then got hot late, they're taking steps, and complacency will sink in. But this Rams team with their veteran leadership, Stafford, Donald, Kupp, they know what it's like to get to the top of the mountain in this sport. They know what it's like to climb that mountain and get up on the top of that mountain and like your Johnny Drama scream out, victory! They know what that's like. And right now, they got to be feeling pretty good about themselves. I actually think right now, they're the second most dangerous team in the NFC. Philadelphia, I don't like where they're at. 3-game losing streak. Locker room turning on Jalen Hurts. People talking anonymously to Jeff McClain. The Cowboys can't win a big game to save their life, and no Cowboys fans just beating the 49ers. Just beating the Buccaneers last year in the playoffs. That's not a big game. The Lions, they're a good team. I like Detroit. They're going to win their first divisional title since 1993. They could win their first playoff game since 1991. But I don't think they're going to the Super Bowl. And I don't think they're going to an NFC title game. And they're a different team on the road. So you look at the NFC, everyone's hunting, just like the rest of the NFL is. Everyone is hunting the San Francisco 49ers. And here are the LA Rams. And the LA Rams, man, they're going to get a win up against the Giants. They'll go to 9-7. And then the final week of the season, they play the 49ers. They'll be in the playoffs. You know, they could lose that game to the 49ers. I don't know what that game's going to mean for San Francisco. And then assuming San Francisco has the bye, if they already have it locked up then, are you going to rest your guys 2 weeks in a row? I don't know. I don't. But the Rams are getting hot at the right time of the year. And this year in the NFL, and I said this with the Bills, so I'll say it with the Rams. We've seen teams before not be good before Thanksgiving. And then they get in as a wild card, and the next thing you know, they're holding the Lombardi Trophy. I don't envision, don't get this wrong, I do not envision the Rams holding up the Lombardi Trophy. But they are a team with that coach, that quarterback, those 2 wide receivers, and that stud of a defensive lineman in Aaron Donald that you won't want to face them. Right now, take the 49ers out of it. Take the Ravens out of it. The best team in the AFC, the best team in the NFC, the 2 best teams in the NFL. After that, tell me there are 2 teams that you would rather pass on and not have to play right now than the Buffalo Bills and the LA Rams. And I don't think you could do it. Because let's go through the AFC. Dolphins, they haven't beat a great team all year. All right, maybe you want to say Kansas City with Mahomes and the Chiefs. I could give you that one. But their offense has problems. Their offense, their receivers, they couldn't catch a cold right now. You know, the AFC South, you have Trevor Lawrence hurt. You got C.J. Stroud hurt. Colts are a solid team, but they're not going to contend this year. Bengals don't have Joe Burrow. Now Jamar Chase is hurt. It's like you go through this. If you take the Ravens and the 49ers out of it, Buffalo is dangerous. Josh Allen is a top 3 quarterback in the league. He's either 2 or 3, and Burrow's hurt right now, so he's going to be 2. We know Mahomes is still 1. That offensive line mauled the Cowboys last week. James Cook was off, and he was running. It was like he was shot out of a cannon. He was explosive. It was awesome. And even though Sean McDermott was a dope for what he said years ago, using the terrorists of 9/11 to try to motivate his team and say, oh, we need to work together, in a weird way, with the beating that was well-deserved that Sean McDermott took nationally and locally, that team has kind of rallied behind their coach. Buffalo's dangerous. And the LA Rams, if I'm the 49ers, especially with Sean McVay being that coach, and a team that knows how to win, and a team that has defeated them before in the past, it's like I would fear them more. And I'm not saying the 49ers fear anybody, but I would fear them more than the Cowboys, the Lions, or even the Eagles. And the Eagles the last 3 weeks, their stock has plummeted. And I've been as vocal of a supporter nationally as anybody with this Eagles team before the season did start. And even when they were 10-1 defending them, when there were some signs that this team wasn't as good as what some and what I thought, they were. But right now, you kick aside the 49ers and the Ravens, you tell me, Zach, San Francisco is going to go down and the Ravens are going to go down. Who gets there to the Super Bowl? I believe in the Bills and I believe in the LA Rams because they have the quarterbacks. They have won enough games, Rams more than the Bills because the Rams have been to a Super Bowl, but the Bills have been in the spotlight year in and year out, and both those teams are getting hot at the right time. And in a year where there's not many great teams, you get hot at the right time. Who knows what could happen from there? We've seen it done before. It is the Zach Gelb Show on CBS Sports Radio. It is a Football Friday. 40 minutes still left to play. When we come on back, Ryan Horvat will join us from BetMGM tonight via BetQL. He'll give us 3 picks from the bowl games this weekend, and also we'll go head-to-head. Horvat's getting hot, man. I think he's got 3 straight winning weeks. He's been really damn good picking NFL games. We'll get his NFL picks when we return in 5 minutes right here on CBS Sports Radio. You could also stream us, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. It is the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Now back to the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, this portion of the show is brought to you by NHTSA. Whether you get pulled over or get into a crash, drinking and driving will change your whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA. And now joining us, one of our L's will lend a helping hand here. Joining the Samter and Stu party is Ryan Horvat from BetMGM tonight via BetQL. Horvat is wearing an ugly Christmas sweater right now. I can't tell. Is that a Cubs? Oh, yep. It is a Cubs sweater. I thought for a second it was a Cleveland Guardians sweater. And I'm like, why the heck would Horvat be wearing a Guardians sweater? Because I thought that you were a Cubs fan, right?
Yeah, so I come on this show tonight to beg my organization. I come to beg Tom Ricketts to spend some money and act like a big market team because kind of like your Mets, Zach, I see you with that the Mets stocking cap on. I want them to act like a big market team. They've spent no money in free agency, and I'm baffled why you would spend $40 million on a manager and not spend any money here in free agency. I feel bad for Craig Counsell, who leaves a smaller market, and now he's going to have to manage a team that's built like a smaller market team in the Cubs. I honestly think that this opening day lineup will be worse what they put on the field last season. It seems like they're putting all their eggs in the Cody Bellinger basket. But that's enough of baseball, I guess.
Yes, so don't get me wrong. Steve Cohen has not done as great of a job as I thought he would do. but he offered $325 million to Yamamoto. I think it's ridiculous that there are Mets fans dragging Steve Cohen today. But Ricketts, I can't stand. Going back to the pandemic started, he was crying poverty. Like, you're a billionaire owner. Like, you want to cry poverty? Give me a break. There are actual people that would love to have like 2%, 1% of what you're made out of. So I've always had a problem with Ricketts, and I think he's a big fat joke, Horvat. Merry Christmas, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, like Jed Hoyer, Tom Ricketts, they hand a manager $40 million and then they leave early for Christmas vacation. But at least you guys are making offers. Exactly. At least the Mets are throwing some money out there. I go to Wrigley Field. I spend $16 on a bear. There's a sports book in Wrigley Field now. So I just wish that they would spend some money. But anyway, Merry Christmas.
Like, at least we're trying to take a swing at the 10. We're trying to bring the 10 home. But when we're a 4 or 5, it's... sometimes money doesn't always get the 10 to come home with you. That's the way that I would describe Steve Cohen and the Mets right now. All righty, let's get to some college football. You got 3 bowl games that you really like this weekend. Troy and Duke is one of them. That will come your way tomorrow at noon Eastern on ABC. Troy is a 7-point favorite. Remember, Mike Elko is the coach of Duke, and now he's the coach of the Aggies at A&M.
Yeah, and, I love this Duke program, but now Elko leaves, so I have to wait and see what Duke's going to look like here the next couple seasons because he really turned that thing around, but they lose Mike Elko. They also lose their starting quarterback to the transfer portal. They lose their leading rusher. They lose their best offensive lineman, who right now is projected to go in the first round. They lose their second leading wide receiver, and then 6 starters on the defensive side of the ball for Duke. And Troy, I mean, they lose their head coach. They're only going to be without one player. Everybody opted in for this bowl game, and that's really what you're looking at, right? You're looking at injury information. You're looking at who's going to play in these games, who's going to opt out, who's going to be coaching in these games. And they're going to be missing Jaden McDonald, who is their leading tackler. But, I mean, they're on fire right now. Duke's kind of limped to the finish line. They've had a bunch of injuries, while Troy's won 10 straight games, including in the Sun Belt championship game. They won by 26 points. So I think there's a reason why this is a 7-point spread. I actually like Troy here quite a bit.
Texas A&M, Oklahoma State. A&M is a 2-point favorite. Every time I see Oklahoma State this year, I just think to myself, man, what a bad decision Spencer Sanders made, leaving Oklahoma State where he was a solid starter, for a 2-3 week stretch, was making a Heisman push early last season, goes to Ole Miss. I know he probably got a ton of money, but he was the backup all throughout the year for Jackson Dart, and now his college career has come to a close. A&M, Oklahoma State, A&M a 2-point favorite. What do you got on Wednesday?
I'm glad that you brought that up because, I went under on Oklahoma State's win total for the first time ever. I'm a big Mike Gundy guy. As far as, against the spread, season win total, he always finds a way to win 8 to 10 games. The concern was Spencer Sanders, like you said, he leaves the program and he was about to break every single school record, and he leaves to go back up Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. And I didn't think he was ever going to win that job. So sure, maybe he got a bunch of money, but didn't make a whole lot of sense. Some guys were transferring out, but all of a sudden, man, they're on a roll as well. And it's because of Ollie Gordon. They've completely changed that offense. And I think they're going to have a lot of success against Texas A&M, who really struggles to defend the run. They lose a bunch of guys who are going to opt out in this game. They also, obviously, Jimbo Fisher's gone now. And you got Mike Gundy, who is going to have some motivation here. He lost this same game, the Texas Bowl, back in 2019 to Texas A&M. And Mike Gundy is one of the best bets in bowl games. He's 11-6 against the spread. So they always take these games seriously. I really like them in this one.
All righty. I think this guy right now is my second least favorite coach in the country. Number 1 would be Dabo Swinney. Number 2, I think it's Lincoln Riley because he's just so overrated. And everyone talks about him as if he's the greatest thing to ever happen to college football. He won't have Caleb Williams in this bowl game, but Caleb Williams was his quarterback the last 2 years. He loses a Pac-12 championship game when Caleb Williams gets hurt, and you can never defeat Utah because Kyle Whittingham is his daddy anyway. And then this year, they had 5 losses with Caleb Williams as the quarterback and didn't even come close to sniffing a spot in the Pac-12 championship game. You have Louisville, where Jeff Brom did an incredible job in year number 1. I know it got away from them a little bit towards the end of the season, but they were 10-3. No one thought they'd be a 10-3 team, and they're going up against USC, 8 p.m. Eastern in the Holiday Bowl. I believe this is on Wednesday. Louisville is a 7.5-point favorite.
Yeah. I also like Northwestern this weekend, but I didn't want to really break that game down, but you could grab the points with them. So here I wanted to talk about this one because the other night, I said Louisville has the coaching advantage here with Brom over Lincoln Riley, and people were laughing. And like Lincoln Riley this season, I used to be a big Lincoln Riley guy, and I think he's a great play caller. But now I think there's some distractions. I mean, we're hearing possibly Lincoln Riley to the Chargers, which, like you said, like that doesn't make any sense. He hasn't really done anything at USC. Alex Grinch got fired, a couple weeks back. The defense pretty much outside the top 100 in every statistical category. They can't really tackle.
Everyone in America, Horvat, knew that Grinch could not be their DC before the season started. And Lincoln Riley, because he's arrogant and he's stubborn, it just really ruined their season. Because I know Williams did not play well up against Notre Dame. So that one was on the offense. But that defense was putrid this year, and everyone saw it coming from a mile away.
Yeah, and Caleb Williams was the reason. And I mean, the numbers weren't great this season. And also, like with Lincoln Riley, the play calling was kind of lazy this season. It was just Caleb Williams, being great. The moments where they look good, it was all backyard football stuff. That's why Caleb's numbers went down. He struggled a little bit under pressure. So yeah, I like Louisville in this spot. I think they're going to get up for this game. I think they win this game by double digits. So I grabbed them at 7.5. Anything under 10 points, I really like them here.
All righty, let's cue the NFL music, por favor, Stuart Kovacs, because Ryan Horvat, he's got a little smile to him. He's got a nice fade cut here for the holiday with Christmas coming up on Monday. And Horvat, usually when it's getting cold this time of the year, he is red hot. The last 3 weeks on this show, back-to-back-to-back winning weeks. I think he even had an undefeated week as well. So he's been giving you some winners. If you're listening to Horvat, he's going to win you some money. And I'm being so nice to him because I'm trying to jinx him. I'm trying to mush him. And I'm trying to change this good luck streak for Ryan Horvat because I think we need to humble him a little bit. He's been too cocky from what sources tell me inside the Odyssey family, Horvat.
Oh, never, Zach. You're the one with the big new promotion, the new time slot, which I've been on here for 10 minutes. Congratulations, by the way. You, my guy, Bart Winkler, JR. I'm so excited for all you guys. And the best part about it is I could pick all you guys up. So if I'm driving into work, if I'm driving home, I got you guys. And obviously, I check out the podcast all the time. Now I'm trying to humble you a little bit because I have a feeling we might go to head-to-head on one of these because I'm going back to a team that I bet last week pretty big, and now I'm going to fade them. I'm going to take, actually, the Minnesota Vikings. I grabbed the 3.5. It's down to 3. Obviously, tough place to play. I see you doing it, Skull. I hate the chant. I'm a Packers guy. But I like Minnesota in this spot. It doesn't really matter who the quarterback is. Last week, they put up great offensive numbers. And the defense, all of a sudden this season, which I can't believe under Brian Flores, year one, they're a top 10 defense. Yeah. Detroit, Jared Goff, I love when they're at home in the Dome. Now he's on the road. I think he's going to be under pressure in this game. And look at the numbers, Brian Flores against Jared Goff. Goff really struggles against his type of defense. So I like Minnesota. Their season's pretty much on the line. Everybody's buying Detroit now after that blowout victory. I really like them in that spot against Denver. I don't like this spot, though. I like Minnesota plus 3.5 or plus 3, whatever number you could get available right now.
I love when I have a take before anyone else in the world has this take. And then I see all the folks in the media slowly, one by one, jump on the Zach Gelb bandwagon. 2 weeks ago, I was all over the Buffalo Bills at plus 1,000 to get to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. Not win it, but just get to the Super Bowl. That number, after victories against Kansas City and also the drama Dallas choking Cowboys, is now down to plus 600, plus 650, depending on where you make your bets. I'm going back with Buffalo this week. The only thing that scares me is that Brandon Staley got fired. And, I know that team hated Brandon Staley, but still, you're starting Easton Stick, and you have all these players injured for the Chargers, and they've checked out in the season at 5-9. I think there's going to be a lot of people for the Chargers making business decisions. The Bills will beat them by 2 touchdowns. Lay the number with Buffalo, minus 12.5.
All right. And a little bonus pick on that one. I like the over in the game. I can't take the side in that game. It just scares me a little bit that maybe the number's a little inflated. But
well, you got to be uncomfortable to win money. Everyone gets scared by a 12.5 point spread, Horvat. You know that. You're the betting expert. Come on.
Love the Bills pick. Love the Bills futures right now with that run game, man. James Cook really got going. Josh Allen didn't have to do a whole lot last week. All right, I'll take an ugly dog because the number just flipped here. I'll take the Steelers. They just moved from 2.5 to 3-point dogs at home. This was my only loss last week, and it's because, Mike Tomlin's kind of he's calling out his team. He's got his back against the wall. I listened to some local radio in Pittsburgh, and a lot of people upset with Mike Tomlin. Some people want Mike Tomlin gone. I'll take Mike Tomlin any day of the week. I still think he's a solid head coach. I just don't really like this team. But Mitchell Trubisky proved last week, man. Mitchell Trubisky's regressed every single year since his rookie year in Chicago.
Yeah,
he's not
Trubisky.
the guy.
He stinks.
He stinks. Not that Mason Rudolph's an all-pro quarterback, but I actually think he's serviceable in this spot right here. Cincinnati, everybody's buying into the Bengals right now. Jake Browning's been great. I think, the coaching staff, the entire coaching staff has done a great job, Taylor and Lou. But, no Jamar Chase, no Horvath on this one. Give me the Steelers +3. I think they win this game outright, actually, and move to 8-7 this season.
This could be the ugliest game of the weekend. Commanders and Jets.
Oh, yeah.
And this time of the year, I'm okay with having to support an ugly matchup. I like the Commanders. The Jets burned me 2 weeks ago in my survivor pool. I was down to the final two, took the Texans, lost. Then the person that beat me, Kelly, who works in our office, a great person, she and her husband picked, it was the Ravens in that Rams-Ravens game. So I was an eye on football, screaming for the Rams to win, and they came up just short with that 76-yard punt return in overtime. I need to get some payback on the Jets. The Jets don't have a quarterback. Now Zach Wilson is out. 2 weeks ago, he played fine. Last week, he was horrible. So they're going back to Trevor Siemian? I like the Commanders plus the 3 points. Ron Rivera will get one final victory before he gets fired as the head coach of the Commanders. And they play the 49ers and the Cowboys the next 2 weeks, so it's going to come this week up against the Jets. Commanders are a dog. Give me them plus 3 points. They'll win the game outright.
I'm with you on that one. I like the Commanders this weekend as well. All right, I'm going to go to the biggest game, maybe the biggest game of the year, maybe a possible Super Bowl preview. And everybody likes San Francisco, which is why this numbers went from 4.5 to 5.5. We all know Lamar's great against the spread. This is the second biggest dog Lamar's ever been outside of his first start. And you look at the Ravens this season, and their top three, the first 3 quarters, I should say, they're number 1 in point differential. Their issue, we talk about this every week, the fourth quarter, they're outside the top 20. They struggle to close teams out. I like them on the defensive side of the ball. I love the offensive side of the ball with Todd Monken calling plays. So I got a bonus pick here. I like Lamar plus 600, a little flyer on hhim to win MVP. Ooh. And I like the Ravens plus 5.5 here to maybe shock the world against San Francisco. The Ravens are a few plays away, man, from being 14-0 this season. I like the way that they're trending right now. And if you look at it, the offense is really starting to click finally. I know Lamar's numbers aren't great. They're fine, but they're not compared to Brock Purdy's and Dak Prescott's. They're not. But if you look at the rushing yards, and you got to figure in, okay, new offensive system. You lose Mark Andrews, your number 1 target for the season. Odell Beckham Jr., he hadn't played football in a whole year. Now he's finally looking like Odell again. And, I really like the Ravens right now. So I like their futures. I like Lamar futures. And I like them in this game catching 5.5 on the road.
See, we're not cowards on this show. There's a lot of shows that they just pick games that are easy, that are layups. I like when we pick the big games. So Horvath picks a big game with the Ravens and the 49ers. So that means I need to pick a big game. Packers and Panthers. Oh, wait, no. That would be me being a hypocrite. I can't pick that game. I'm going to the Cowboys and the Dolphins. Last week, the Buffalo Bills ran the crap out of the football, and their offensive line beat the snot out of that Cowboys defense. I like Devon Achane this week. I like Raheem Mostert this week. I don't trust really either quarterback in the fourth quarter. And these teams are very similar, both 10-4, both good but not great. Both haven't really beat a lot of great teams this year. The Dolphins get their biggest win of the season. I like the Dolphins laying 1.5 in this one, Horvath.
Ooh, so do I, man. I like the Dolphins in this spot, too. I feel like the Cowboys...
All right, fade it, everybody. Go Cowboys.
No. Cowboys can't win a game on the road, Zach. We all know that. The only concern is, man, the offensive line, the injuries. You lose your starting center. But, we saw it. We saw it on Hard Knocks. Mike McDaniel had the perfect game plan, and that was against the Jets. I thought they were going to be outmatched because of the Jets' defensive line, and they weren't. So I'm with you on Miami, and I like Miami futures. The Phillips injury really stinks because the defensive side of the ball, I think when it's all said and done, I think they're going to have the best defense.
He was the Eagles' Hassan Reddick. Like what Hassan Reddick did for the Eagles last year, that's what the Dolphins needed Jalen Phillips to be this year.
Absolutely. But I like the way that they're trending right now, man. I think they're about to go on a roll here.
All righty, so I take the Bills laying 12.5, the Commanders +3, and the Dolphins minus 1.5. Horvat, if I got this right, you have 3 underdogs. I just realized that. Vikings +3, Steelers +3, and the Ravens +5.5. You know what, Horvat? I'm riding with Ryan this week. Forget about what I said and wanting to see him lose all these games. 3 underdogs? How don't I parlay all 3 of those together and just see what happens?
Let's do it, man. The favorites have been on a roll. I mean, you saw it the other night, last night even. We had another favorite come home. Man, did the Saints, they looked terrible in that game.
Oh, Derek Carr is such an overrated quarterback. I'm sick of him.
I'm glad that everybody's finally coming around on that. I was talking about that all summer long. I didn't like that pickup. But, yeah, done with the Saints. And we'll take a shot with the dogs this weekend, with the underdogs.
Hungry dogs run faster. That's what the legendary Jason Kelsey once said. He is Ryan Horvat from BetMGM tonight via BetQL. Ryan, always a pleasure. Happy holiday season to you and your family.
Happy holidays. Enjoy the time with your family.
There you go. Ryan Horvat joining us from BetMGM tonight via BetQL. I'm dressed up as Santa Claus. If you want to see it, at Zach Gelb on Twitter and Instagram. Also, you can watch us live on YouTube, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. When we come on back, we'll do the cheesy radio segment since I'm dressed up like the big fella. Jolly old St. Nick. I'll give out 5 Christmas gifts to 5 NFL teams when we return. Update time first. When I think of the holiday season and I think of joy and I think of holiday spirit, I think of one person and one person only. And that is El Capitan, the always positive, the always great. A guy that I consider to be like a father figure to me here at CBS Sports Radio. And my father works for the company. But I love this man. Here he is. El Capitan Marco Belletti.
Decent save. Santa was going to get his ass kicked in about 30 seconds.
Sports Flash.
All right, Zach. Emergency Board of Trustees meeting for Florida State.
You better not be naughty this season.
Santa's.
Ho, 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 ho.
The boot's going to go somewhere. Produced a unanimous vote to sue the ACC, challenging the legality.
This update anchor had too much eggnog right now. Ho, 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 ho.
Legality of the grant of rights and their $130 million withdrawal fee. No school's ever challenged a grant of rights in court. Florida State, of course, looking to leave the ACC. Steelers, Bengals kicking off a weekend slate on Saturday. Both teams trying to make a playoff push. Steelers 7-7 have dropped 3 straight. Now they're in the hands of Mason Rudolph, who gets to start over Mitchell Trubisky after the Kenny Pickett being ruled out again.
We feel a sense of urgency. I mean, Coach Tomlin's challenged the whole offense, the passing game to make improvements, and the offense as a whole to score more points.
C.J. Stroud
George Pickens on that naughty list, by the way.
Oh, boy. C.J. Stroud officially ruled out for the Texans again against the Browns. Trevor Lawrence back at practice. Still has not passed concussion protocol, though. Has not been cleared yet. Officially listed as questionable. Jets will use a 4th different starting quarterback for the first time since 1989. Trevor Siemian is the latest to go. Zach Wilson still in concussion protocol. I'm Marco Belletti.
CBS Sports Radio is turning up the heat this December.
From the NFL playoff push, bowl games, and coast-to-coast action from the NBA hardcourt to the college game,
we've got you covered.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Now back to the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, it's time to answer Ask the Pros question of the day, and it's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Mark in Boca says, earlier in the show, Zach Channing Crowder called Tua a top 5 quarterback. Do you agree with Channing? You could submit a question by tweeting at CBS Sports Radio or at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB, using the hashtag Ask the Pros. And you could thank O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. No. I think Tua is a very good quarterback. I cannot call him a top 5 quarterback. Just for starters, Mahomes. I know Burrow's injured, but when healthy, Joe Burrow. Josh Allen. I would even still say, I know he struggled as of late, Jalen Hurts. And when you look at the 5th one, how isn't Lamar Jackson not considered a top 5 guy? Like, that just off the top of my head. There may be a few others that we could have a debate and enter the conversation. But just off the top of my head, I would take those 5 quarterbacks just for starters over Tua Tagovailoa. Alrighty, I am dressed up as Santa Claus today as we get ready for Christmas. Just a programming note, we'll do some housekeeping here on CBS Sports Radio. I will not be here Monday, but I don't want to ruin your Christmas. I will be here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week. A lot of people not working next week. Now, I'm not going to criticize people for using their off time. You are allowed to have your off time. I think that's something lame that we do in radio. Oh, this person's off. Let's just trash them when they're off for a week or two of vacation. You know, Stu, I want to know who Stu's agent is. Stu is off all of next week. I think you're back for one day. Is that correct?
That's right. One day, the Tuesday after New Year's.
So January 2nd, and then he's off all that week as well. I am jealous. Jealous of Stu.
I mean, why come back for a day?
Yeah, why are you coming back for that day?
I actually thought about that. I didn't want to take 2 straight weeks.
Can I give you some advice?
What? I know what you're going to say.
That Tuesday? Hey, there it is. I got the old Kovacs cold. Pop, I got the black lung. Pop, 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 I got the black lung. That's what you need to do. From the movie Zoolander, after he goes into the coal mine. Yeah, you should call out on Tuesday. Come on, call out on Tuesday. Well, actually, depending on who we get to fill in for you.
That's true.
You know, there's like 3 or 4 people that if we
bench.
get them and you call out, that's a big time problem. Because when we get someone that's not capable of doing your job when you call out, it's a disservice to me. But then Samter takes it way too personal. And then, like, Samter's head looks like he's about to explode because he's the seasoned veteran around here.
I'm running around. I'm cursing, screaming, slamming stuff, throwing computers against the wall.
It's just not good. It's not in the holiday spirit. Like, you know, Samter just wants someone to do the job in a competent level. It's not like Samter asked for much. So I think you're like 50-50 on calling out on that Tuesday. I don't know.
Good.
You feel like you're not someone that just calls out sick.
I'm not. I have to be actually
you
sick
need to
call
genuinely
out.
be sick. So if you want to take like a hot towel and just, you know, make sure that the base is warm enough so you put the thermometer up, you could read like 100.
Take a picture of it, send it to our bosses.
Yeah, maybe you do something like that. Alrighty, real quickly before we get on out of here, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. You can see me dressed up as Santa Claus right now. Santa! I want to give out 5 gifts to some teams for the rest of the way with the NFL season. Oh, I didn't know we were going to do music here. Okay. Dun, 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 rocking around the Christmas tree. Right? That's this song? Okay. See, I'm like the biggest advocate for Christmas, and I'm Jewish. Chargers fans, I'm giving you the gift of someone that often gets confused with being the Grinch. It's Bill Belichick. You need a good NFL head coach. Bill Belichick is still a great NFL head coach. Even the last few years has not been unbelievable. But Bill needs talent. You need an adult in the room, and you need a good coach to steer you into the right direction. Chargers fans, I gift you Bill Belichick. We're on to Kansas City. We're on to Kansas City. We're on to Kansas City. Alrighty. Falcons fans, you gave me a great gift. One of the greatest gifts I've ever received. I was at that Super Bowl in person as a Patriot fan. You were up 28-3, and you guys just choked it up. So I want to turn around the Atlanta Falcons franchise. Jim Harbaugh. He knows how to use running backs, unlike Arthur Smith. Jim Harbaugh knows how to use Bijan Robinson, will know how to use Tyler Algier, and you will slowly find your quarterback of the future. Falcons fans, I give you Jim Harbaugh. 49ers fans, you know, we had a rocky start to the year. Deebo Samuel, your star wide receiver, hung up the phone on me after I asked him a few questions. But now, I want to lend a helping hand to the 49ers. I want to be benevolent, and I want to be a good person. And even though you 49ers fans bitch and complain and say nasty things to me, and still to this day, slide into my DMs. And trust me, I want other people sliding into my DMs, not 49ers fans. And you say some not so nice things that are very offensive and mean. I want to give the 49ers good health in this new year. And good health, because that's the only thing that could derail your football team. Maybe Deebo was right. All you need is good health. Because if Trent Williams stays healthy, Christian McCaffrey stays healthy, Brock Purdy looking pretty awesome, rocking out with his Brock out, Ayuk, Debo, those guys stay healthy, you are going to win the Super Bowl. Bills fans, I want to gift you a playoff berth. Because I really do believe just as long as you make the playoffs, you're going to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. And finally, Moist Mike, even though it's very fugazi that you are no longer a Jet fan, and now you're rooting for the Kansas City, how about those Chiefs? I want to give a gift to your friend Kadarius Toney so the Chiefs could actually get back to a Super Bowl. And you know what gift Kadarius Toney needs, Samter? He needs some stickum. He needs those hands to be sticky. You ever see the movie The Replacement when they tell Clifford Franklin to go, how can I say this, massage a pisha deal of a elephant? That's what they said to Clifford Franklin. They said some term that I can't say on the radio. Pete the Body Velati just texted us. He's saying, Stu, get that finger on the dump button. But Kadarius Toney needs some stickum. Because somehow, some way, they keep on throwing the football to Kadarius Toney. He can't catch the football. And then the ball either goes into the hands of another team or it's just a crucial drop. Or he lines up offsides. So those are my 5 gifts this year. Chargers fans, you get the hoodie, Bill Belichick. Falcons fans, you get Jim Harbaugh. 49ers fans, love you. Hello. I give you good health. Bills fans, a playoff berth. And Kadarius Toney, some stickum for those hands.
You don't want to give the Jets fans Aaron Rodgers?
I don't know. Jets fans, I'm not giving any gifts to Jets fans. Alrighty? Death, taxes, never giving any gifts to Jets fans. That's my motto. That's the way that I rock and roll. Alrighty, I will talk to you on Sunday for Eye on Football for 8 hours, starting at noon p.m. Eastern, and 9 a.m. Pacific. And I'll be back on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific for the Zach Gelb Show right here on CBS Sports Radio. Happy holidays to all. Hope you have a great, fun, safe time with your family. Remember, if you are drinking this holiday season, do not get in a car and drive. Call an Uber, call a taxi, get someone sober to drive you because, unfortunately, there's too many incidents of drinking and driving in this country, and there is never a good outcome when you drink and drive. So have a wonderful holiday season. Have a great Christmas, and we'll talk to you on Eye on Football on Sunday, and then right back here on CBS Sports Radio for the Zach Gelb Show on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. We out. Bye-bye. Thank you. Peace.